I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, located in Highland Heights, Kentucky.
And I'm Becca Otis with Five Lines Pottery, and I'm located in Statesville, North Carolina. And welcome to Wheel Talk.
Hello, we're live.
We're live.
Becca's got her mic
Hopefully,
back.
yeah, hopefully it sounds better. If it doesn't, somebody let me know and I'll just dump this mic in the trash.
Yeah, we're back. We've got a replay episode for you. It's been a while since we chatted with Tim C. All the way back in
Yes.
2022. So that's the episode we have for you today. And it's one of our most popular interviews we've done over the years. Tim C's always a good chat and has plenty of insights to share. So we got a whole
Tim C
three
is
hours with him.
he's never at a loss for words, that's for sure.
Exactly. He's always entertaining to listen to. Got plenty of insight.
He's very opinionated, which is one of the reasons I love him.
Got some good stories too. Yeah, I saw him recently
Yes.
at Ensika, and yeah, I always kind of think about the different ways that he helps the community, whether it's through YouTube videos or just posting about things on his groups where he's helping people out. He's got clay buddies, obviously, that he helps with, and
Yeah.
no shortage of knowledge to be shared from Tim. So
Definitely. And
always
you may
very
not like him. He's definitely I feel like he's a polarizing human being. Like you may not like him, but he has words to say, and I think they're valuable to listen to.
Yeah. I think it's one of
You
those things
know?
he's helping way more people than he's making upset.
Yeah, exactly.
So like
His good in the community is has far outweighed the people he's pissed off.
yeah. But if you're not pissing anybody off, like are you like
Are you
I
doing
feel like
anything?
you should piss some people off, right?
You should. You definitely should. I piss a lot of people off. Look at me. I told somebody recently, I was like, you either love me or you hate me. There's nothing in between. There's like, and I find that to be true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we had to look back at what we chatted about during that episode. We're touching on a number of things. I mean, in there I heard Becca talking about she was starting to do some workshops in there, so she was learning a little bit about workshops and pricing of
Did I
yourself
follow
with
his advice? No.
I don't know, did you?
Should I have followed
You
his
probably
advice? Yes.
probably did a little bit. But
I
talked
don't
about
know.
workshops. We talked about selling your work, whether that's at shows in person or online, or how you talk about your work, and
Yeah.
uh, definitely pricing. Pricing was a big topic.
Yeah.
We
Tim C has a
always
lot to
want
say
to.
about pricing, and I feel like he's very well versed since he's sold at so many different levels of prices, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's no shortage of discussion to be had about pricing. There's always more to
Never.
understand about that. So even if you listen to it and you need a little refresher, hear about pricing, and then we talked a little bit about social media and sharing your work there, the gamble that goes along with it of trying to get seen and noticed,
Yeah.
and sharing a little bit more about your work so you can people can understand the value and what they're paying for and how you go about doing what you do and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. And I feel like whenever I talk to Tim, I always feel like I get a little fire under my ass, you know? It's like, ah, shit, I should be doing this, you know?
hmm
And I think that that's kind of how we both walked away from that conversation,
yeah,
if I remember
I was
correctly.
looking at we actually recorded a follow-up episode right after it. So the week after we had Tim C takeaways is what that one was called.
Yeah, we did. You're right.
So yeah, this original episode was all the way back in 168, back in October 2022, we called it Finding Success with Tim C. So we hope you
Yes.
enjoy it, whether you've already heard it or this is your first time. So
Have
I'm
we
sure
found
there's,
success? Nobody knows.
I don't know, we're still finding it. So
We're still on the search.
always finding it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Always finding it.
So we hope you enjoy it. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Enjoy the episode.
Bye.
Bye.
We're gonna start now. Okay. Hello everybody. We're live. We're not really live, but we're with Tim C. That's SEE, not the letter C. Tim C. Like I see you. And he is a potter out in New York. And I don't know. I mean, like I first found you via Clay Buddies, and you kind of like helped start that, kind of, right?
No, I came in a few years before, or they've been going for a while, and I was just annoying enough as a member that they said, eventually, just make him an admin so that, he stops bugging us about all this stuff.
That checks out. That checks
It was started by Mark Campbell.
Yeah, Mark Campbell. And let's see, I met you at NSECA in 2018, and
that was my first Uber ride.
That was your first Uber
ride?
That
was my first Uber ride.
It may as well have been mine also. It was my, I feel like every Uber ride is my first Uber ride because I have such high anxiety.
Were you compact in there like sardines or something?
No, it was just the two of us, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were going to the Clay Buddies shot glass exchange.
The shot glass exchange, yeah. And I actually got his shot glass.
Is
that rigged? What's going on?
Yeah, it was probably rigged. But yeah, so and you teach classes, you have one sale a year, and you've been doing this for a long time. How long?
22 years. Been touching clay for pottery reasons.
Okay.
But business wise, it's been 16 years.
Okay.
That's a good amount of time. 6 years before you even sold anything, or before you were full in?
Full in. I think my first sale was at community college. There was a jazz fest, and one of the professors that taught there was like, "Hey, we're gonna have jazz fest up here. I'm gonna put up a tent. You guys can sell anything you want." And I sold the most amount of stuff, and I sold the most expensive piece, and I bought a fishing pole and a bicycle seat.
Nice.
Priorities as a college kid.
That's great.
So, how about you take a couple minutes and just, boast about yourself?
Oh, see, this is the homework thing. Oh.
The homework thing.
I mean, Becca basically said a lot of it, so
yeah.
Usually you'd be like, how do you introduce yourself? But Becca was like, this is how I know you.
I just meow, meow, that's it. That's all you need to know. So, I started at community college. I was there for 4 years. It was a 2-year school. Eventually, they kicked me out. But while at community college, the first time I sat down in a ceramic class, I sat next to the woman that was eventually going to be my wife, and I sat next to the piece of equipment that was going to eventually be my career. So it was in that one minute of time, everything kind of lined up, and that's what I was going to end up doing. Before I was into clay, I was a speed skater. I was nationally ranked. I had a couple first place national medals, and I had a national record for a little bit of time until the next heat, and then they broke that. So I don't know if that really counts because it was only a little bit.
Is that on ice or is that on ground?
It was one of those things where if the stars aligned differently, I would have been on ice. But at the time, I was on inline. It was inline speed skating indoors.
That's still very freaking cool.
Yeah, it was that's a long story, but I could have gone to ice, and the people that were at the ice rink were like, nah, not cool. The national short track team from Canada used to skate with us in the summertime. So they had brought blades, and we were, going to one of the ice rinks, and they just said, don't come back. So, but if they did say come back, I might have done ice and then had a horrible job, I don't know, sharpening skates somewhere, and instead I make crockery. So, whee!
Whee!
Okay, so from OCC, I went to Syracuse University and had a horrible time. I don't know. Do we negatively name drop people here?
Sure. I mean,
yeah,
we prefer not negatively dropping names, but universities and departments totally fine, in my opinion.
I mean, SU overall is great, but there's a professor there that was horrible, and I never get enough chance to say that out loud. So there it is.
Was it a small? Was it specifically ceramics department, or was it just art in general? Or
and the other two professors were great. I had a fine time with them, but it was that negative, horrible energy that was really a impetus for my doing all the things. Me doing better meant they looked worse, kind of thing. So it was highly motivating to do the best that I could to make them, I don't know, angry or whatever, and it did. It worked. So
I had a teacher like that too.
Yeah.
Not clay,
So-
just art, but
So from SU, I mean, I went to SU as, training to be a production potter. Like that was my goal going there. And leaving Syracuse University, I had, a whole year of shows under my belt. I was teaching at the YMCA, and I think just about when I graduated, Don Seymour of Clayscapes hired me to teach there. And teaching there is kind of what started the whole online thing for me, because, people would come to class late or miss a week, and YouTube had just started. There was like a couple motorcycle racing videos and, a kitty cat dance song thing. And so I posted up, my first class for the people that missed it. So that I could point them to YouTube. They could go to that first class, and then they would be able to catch themselves up with, without having to make up a class sort of thing. And then people started watching those, from further away. And, so I made some more videos. And then there was a Yahoo group called Pottery Basics 101, which was like a message board sort of thing. Did I say, yeah, I said Yahoo, right? Yahoo group. Yeah. And there, I was happily answering questions. And then I went to Facebook. Somebody said, hey, you should join Facebook. I said, okay, fine. I'll finally join it here. And I found a whole bunch of groups. I got kicked out of all of them, I think, except for Clay Buddies. And
why do you get kicked out of the Clay group? Why do you get kicked out of the groups? Like,
because I was a poor communicator. That's, heart was in the right place, words were in the wrong place.
that checks out. I could see that happening.
Yeah, you grow up and then you figure out how to talk to people in a way that it's harder to misconstrue intent. Intent, yeah, duh. Words. And from that, participating in Facebook, you start to build community. And I remember the first real post on any Facebook group was on Clay Buddies, and it was about the Giffen grip. And somebody asked, is the Giffen grip cheating? And hilarity ensued. It was the longest post that had ever been on Clay Buddies, and it was hilarious. Some people taking it very seriously, one way or the other, and people like me going, well, I don't use the Giffen grip because it's made from unicorn horns and baby seals, and I just refuse to participate in the wanton slaughter of unicorns for Giffen grips. It was things like that, and then so instead of people just answering questions and posting pictures, we found that people had personality, and you made friends in that kind of situation, and that was kind of the turning point for me. And then I said, oh well, these are kind of my people. I'll participate here, and you answer questions, you post things, and then in terms of online things, there was I'm trying to think like the points that things changed. So there was I did something called the Visiting Pot Program through Clay Buddies, in which people could send their pots to Clayscapes. I would put whatever glaze they asked to put on them, and then we wood fired them, and we tried to show as much of the video of the wood firing as we could, and then I just shipped them back. And we did it all for free. It was just like, we want you to participate. Here, we can play.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to show them a live stream of like the pots so I could talk to them. And at the time I had gotten, I don't remember the name. It was like a Ring. It was like a security camera, and that you could watch online. But you could give out the security cam feed to people. So I could give that link to all the people that were participating in the wood firing, and then they could watch the unloading. So it was like before there was what's that called?
Periscope?
Before there was Periscope, there was like this hodgepodge way to like live stream and interact, because they could hear me and I could hear them. It was more of a delay, but it was still happening. And then Periscope happened, and Periscope, I don't know if you guys were familiar with Periscope and all that stuff, but it was a live streaming platform in which you could communicate one-on-one almost instantaneously, in terms of them typing and then the person in video being able to respond. And that got me into a whole different world of like how you can participate online, how you can educate, how you can communicate. And it was a big part of that like the illustration, because I was illustrating while people were watching and people are asking, and so that was interesting. And then Facebook went Facebook Live as like a counter to the Periscope thing. Periscope got all weird and pervy, and it was kind of unfair in terms of the ceramic community for the women to have to deal with all of the perverts and weirdos that happened, and none of the males had to deal with it at all. And eventually I got to the point where I'd hunt these people down, and I would like show the screenshots to their wife or their mother, because they're using their real account names, through Twitter or whatever, and then you hunt them down. But eventually got to the point where we were just, we're going to be done with Periscope, and I just went to Facebook. And on Facebook, like on Clay Buddies, I would do a weekly online, thing, just whatever topic was present at the time, or I would just be working in the studio. And then it got to the point where all big groups end up suffering from, I guess like a smush of people, everybody trying to
like the 5% or the 2% that are like the loudest.
Yeah, or just too many percent. Like let's say it's like 30%. Like if somebody asks a beginner question, and you get 30 people saying 30 different answers, that 15 of them might be right for a certain circumstance, but the beginner can't tell what one of those is going to be right for their circumstance. And it got frustrating on my end to see questions that I thought weren't right. And I noticed I didn't say that was right. I just thought were right. When I mean, politically, safe there. So I started my own group just for beginners. And from that, I've kind of grown a smaller sub-community, like Clay Buddies, but it's just for beginners. And that's kind of where I spend a lot of my time now. Doing stuff like that. So that's
it seems like there's still a lot of new people that'll find Clay Buddies here and there, right? And then they get excited. They're like, well, I'm excited about this thing that I'm doing. And then there's so many people that swarm, it can make them feel like lesser because they're like, they don't know anything. And then they're like deterred from posting, and
Yeah, there are limitations for a Facebook group, and intent, like understanding the intent, I think is the hardest, especially when you join it after the first. Stupid Tammy. That when you join a Facebook group, it's hard to know the voice of the people that are talking until you get going for a little bit, and then once you're there for a while. But a beginner, like you said, joins and doesn't get that some people answer things really quickly or right to the point, and they're not sugarcoating. Oh, you're doing a good job. And I don't know if that was the answer to the question.
No, that was great. I find that like I was pretty active in Clay Buddies once I found it, and then like while I was doing the studio, because always in the studio and just doing lives and stuff. And it was very helpful to get like my face and name out there as like a legitimate answerer. You're like, oh, I saw that person do a live and I saw that they can actually throw. So maybe they have an okay answer,
Mm-hmm.
But
do they have like badges for people that you can give based on their? It seems like a moderator, you probably wouldn't want to be able to just dole out badges, but maybe.
Well, I mean, we could give out badges, but then it's like the sneeches on the beaches, badges and not badges. And I as an admin team, we haven't even broached the subject. I think we all understand that as soon as you start handing out badges, you're going to have some people that don't have a badge that, might deserve it or might not deserve a badge for whatever reason, and them getting bent on it. And I think moderating a large group like that, it's mostly about producing the least amount of drama for, for the most amount of people. No matter every decision that gets made, there's going to be drama for somebody. Mm-hmm. And if we can keep that as small and as like non-impactful as possible, I think that's a fair way to say, how we moderate. Stacy might punch me in the back of the knees and say something completely different, but I mean, that's that's our relationship.
And that's you all as individuals, as moderators. You have your own expectations and what you want to see and what you don't want to see, or what's worth the fight and what's not.
What's worth the fight kind of thing. And we could spend who knows how long on how to moderate a Facebook group, and that's not all that exciting unless you've moderated a lot of Facebook groups. And then it's war story time.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the point would like come away with is don't.
Well, I guess, I started I was one of the founding members of a local group here called the Independent Potters Association, and all we do is philanthropy. And I think the unofficial tagline for the group is it's not a privilege, it's a burden. That there's nothing so being a moderator. There aren't a whole lot of like privileges to it. Some people think there are,
Yeah.
and until they try to do it themselves, or they start their own group, or they end up moderating something, and then it's like, oh wow, I'm not getting paid for this. All I'm dealing with is other people's drama that I'm not causing, and all I get to do is
Be a decider in a group
that are from other countries trying to join that have no legitimate thing but spamming a group. Like this is the majority of.
Yeah.
I have a question, changing the subject completely, about your YouTube, because I just looked. You have like 60,000 people on YouTube, and I want to know this. I mean, I'm just going to be super direct, which
And I'm super honest. So
yeah, which would be nothing else. I want to know, like, so you have 60,000 subscribers, and I don't know if you're still like really active making videos, but are you like making like, people are always like, you should start a YouTube channel, you can get like money and stuff like that, and I want to know if it's like even viable at like 60,000 people.
So I don't grind, and I don't grind in any of the things that I do. If you were to like look at my activity on Facebook or on Instagram or YouTube, like I make a YouTube video maybe twice a year, and I don't try to make a YouTube video that's the same YouTube video that I made 100 other times, just with a different shape or, different lighting. Could that be effective? Is it effective for people? Heck yeah. It's super effective for some people. That's just not the way I do my jam. But, in terms of, nuts and bolts here, if I look at my Google ad revenue, because to be visible on YouTube, you actually have to have ad revenue sharing. Like, otherwise, just don't promote your videos. And I went through it because I met with a financial person this morning. So it looks like on average per month, it's about $200 to $300.
Okay.
Like mostly $280 for most months. And that was, just pretty much content that I made 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And, people use it as part of their curriculum. So, every stupid kid in that, middle school class is going to have to watch Tim C screwing up some pottery or something. And, so I get 0.001 cent per impression, and it adds up to like a few $100.
It's like you're getting royalties for something.
Yeah, but
rather than like you're actively snowballing it, it's just like trickling here and there.
Yeah. If I wanted to like brr and do all that, I would have to take time away from other things. And time that I put into the other things may not be financially as lucrative, but it's more personally important. I could grind out another video that's exactly like another video I had, or I could answer 30 questions on Facebook for beginning pottery people. And it's like, I'd rather answer questions. I don't particularly enjoy, making videos.
Well, yeah, it's like very one-sided. You create the content and then people consume it like months and years down the road.
Yeah.
Like one-on-one with somebody.
Yeah. That's why I like live streaming. It's an interaction. It's like people, I mean, there have been instances where I've been, live streaming and nobody participates, and it's all sad.
It's so sad.
Please just make a comment so I don't feel like that weird puppet guy that nobody's in the thing and he's still doing his puppet show. That happened. I saw a poor puppet guy like do the whole thing and bow at the end, and there's nobody watching him except for me from like the side in my booth going, "Oh man, I never want to be the puppet guy." Poor puppet guy.
Yeah, I love live streaming, and I used to do it all the time because I used to grind out pots at night, like all the time. So it was just like company,
Yeah.
and it kept me going. And now I'm always in a different spot, and like it's not the same, and so I don't do it anymore. But I miss it. I miss the like. I like answering questions, even if I get the same questions every day. Like, don't care.
That's one of those responses I get. How do you answer the same question patiently, 10 times a day, every day of the year? And it's like, because I could have been that person that asked that question.
Yeah.
And I relate that to like boat motors. I know, super, super right in the same vein here. But, I've restored a few antique boat motors, and, joining these boat motor groups and going, okay, what spark plug do I need? Because you can look at 100 different books and all the online things, but unless somebody really knows what that exact motor is, you're going to put the wrong spark plug in, the little thingy that goes up and down is going to bonk it, and then you're going to ruin it. So, you ask the old guy, and the old guy gives you the answer, and then, he's happy that he was able to help, and I was happy that I didn't blow up another motor.
Yeah.
Really.
And hopefully they did it with grace so that you didn't feel like a fucking idiot. For asking a question.
And the same thing in the clay community as then, if you do have somebody that ends up like a jerk, they don't stick around long because they're not getting the satisfaction of that kind of drama that they really want. And it's the drama that feeds those kind of people. So no drama, no feedy, and they go away and look for other people to yell at or make feel bad.
Yeah. Talk to us about your sale that you do you still do a sale every year, right?
Yep. This was part of the other meeting I had this morning with Von Brenda, which is my wife. She, we were just talking about, this next sale kind of, am I going to go as big as it was last year? Because it's been 5 years that I've done it as one sale, and each year it grows. And last year, it was my last opportunity before, COVID kind of ended and I was able to go back to doing workshops to see how many pots I could make in a year and if I could sell that many pots. Just as a exercising, could I make it as a potter and not just a mixed class, I guess. Yeah. Is that a dungeon?
Yeah, you're not diversifying it between teaching is like half of it and potting is half of it or something.
Yeah, just all the streams of income, and said like, okay, we're just going to focus on making pots. Could I do it? Because that's one of those silly questions that we pose to ourselves. Like, am I a real potter if I can't do it by just making pots? So I took that upon myself and said, yeah, I could try to do that. And I made, the year before, I was like, I can't make any more pots than that. And then I almost doubled it the next year. And I'm like, yeah, I can make that many more pots.
What are the numbers?
Ooh, so, wood firing is a harsh little firing thing, and I might have made 800 pots.
Okay.
But 400, 450 were usable. So it was 600 came out of the kiln that were good. So 400 went to the sale because in terms of doing a sale, selling pots to possibly other potters, you've got to put perfect ones out. If it's not perfect. Even if it's like just a little a normal buyer isn't going to notice that, but a potter is going to be like, you sold me a second. Or, I might feel like that. So I try to make sure I don't put anything out in the online sale that I feel somebody could think is a second. That I didn't pre-warn them because I don't care if something is completely rounded. I don't care if things wiggle a little bit. That's kind of like my aesthetic
characteristic of it, yeah.
But like, if it's got just a pinhole, little nubby in the bottom or on the side, it's like, oh, it's dead to me. So, I pick my battles, and it may be, or crazing even. I don't care. Crazing is part of wood firing. So, every single one of my pots is crazed. I've had one person return it, go, or ask to return the piece, and like, it's crazed. I didn't know it was going to be crazed. It's ruined. I'm like, no, that's kind of how wood firing is. And I was like, you can keep it, and I'll try to make you another one next time, or I'll gas fire one. But if it's wood fired in my kiln, it's going to be crazed.
Yeah. How much of that, like eye for what's perfect, what's not, what's a second, like, is that your own quality control of like your standards, or is it like you've had negative experiences that have caused you to say, well, it's online, they can't really get a full 360 degree look?
Really, I think I've only had that one person have an issue with the work that everybody else is always really happy to get anything. So it was the one person. So it's more of a my standard than a them standard.
Mhm.
And partly because, I've gotten bad pots, I've bought pots online and been like, oh, that was a stinker. Or I've gotten them in person and then, put it through the dishwasher a few times and somebody filled an S-crack with epoxy. And you're like, oh my God. Like, I don't know how you do that. So I just never wanted to be one of those. I never wanted to have somebody get a pot and not be happy with it, which is why, if somebody ever was unhappy with it, I'd refund their money. They could keep the pot. I don't care. I don't want it back. They've already touched it.
Yeah.
So it's theirs then. Don't tell anybody that though. That's not going to go online, right?
Just the other potters.
You can see the ramifications of that. Well, typically people that buy my work are buying it to support me. They're not just like trying to get a pot or a free pot. Okay, so the online sale. So last year there were 400 pieces of the online sale, and this year it looks like I could have more than that. But my wife said, because she helps do the sale, and it takes 2 weeks of constant shipping and packing and label making and all that, and she just says no. She said 400 or less.
Or less.
100 or less. I can work within that parameter and do my best at that.
What's your average price per piece for people that don't know you and don't know?
That sounds like math.
What's the range? What's the lowest and highest?
So I haven't done the whole average price per piece since I did local or doing craft shows. So I don't know what the average price per piece would be.
Okay, but what's a general price?
So my cheapest pieces I think last year were $50.
Okay.
And they're small, little shot glass kind of things or soap dishes. And then they go up to, I want to say there was a $1,200 pour or cream and sugar set last year.
Okay.
But I don't remember numbers well. I just do the dues. And
what's the highest quantity of forms you're doing? Are you doing a lot of mugs, or are you doing a lot of what's kind of the lay of the land of the forms?
So I would say it's dangerous to include that in the talk of the sale. So I have I have lots of different Tims, but there's two major Tims when we talk about studio stuff. There's Maker Tim and Seller Tim. And Maker Tim does whatever Maker Tim feels like doing. And he is not allowed to talk to Seller Tim. So basically, Maker Tim comes in the studio and he says, I feel like making bowls. And he makes bowls. And if he comes in the next day and feels like making bowls, he'd make bowls. And if Maker Tim just felt like making bowls for 8 weeks, that's all he would make. But Maker Tim gets bored. So Maker Tim also, would do mugs. And then, I look at it, I see I did bowls, I did tumblers, I did fancy mugs, I did fancy tumblers, and then I did even fancier mugs. So I do a lot of mugs. I think that's the interaction of people to mug, I think, is one that I do the most in my clay world, using work. I use mugs for everything. So when I look at what I have the most influence in my role, if I'm going to use the mugs the most, then that's the thing that I would, I guess, Maker Tim says, make more mugs because that's what you use the most. So that's what Maker Tim ends up doing.
Yeah.
There are some things, that I'll make kind of off the beaten path. Somebody will be like, oh, have you ever done this? And then Maker Tim goes, I have not. Challenges lie within that. And typically the research for those things are to buy one or make a prototype and use it and get an idea of what that function is and, how to make it more Tim-like. And that doesn't always mean comfortable or, it could just mean more rocky and wiggly or something,
Yeah.
annoying. Not that I'm annoying, but I am annoying. So Maker Tim does all the Maker Tim stuff, and then Seller Tim ends up, after the wood firing, go, damn, what did you do? And it has to figure out, what things are going to go to the online sale, what things are going to get held back for workshops, what things are seconds, what things are trash, what things can get refired, what's going to get lustered. Because I do say Seller Tim does get into the studio a little bit after the wood firing, because he's in damage control. Okay, Tim, you done screwed up a lot of pots here, but we can put gold on it, and now it's fancy. That's a lie. I don't actually do that. No, there's things like in a refiring, and it's a matter of balancing, putting more effort into a crappy pot, or just sending it to the second sale.
Yeah.
And refiring could be gas firing, and not necessarily wood kiln.
Refiring. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think it's beneficial to have? I know a lot of people are kind of in different spaces of like they focus on they let the maker Tim drive, and then seller Tim deals with the consequences. But like, do you think it's beneficial to do it the opposite way, or what's the pros of doing it one way versus the other? Or
I think it comes to studio longevity. That if you're not happy in the studio, then your ability to be in the studio all the time, make it work, was going to decrease. So if I was like, okay, I know I can make mugs, and I know I'll sell every mug that I can make, and I could just sit down and grind out mugs every day, I have about 3 days of that before I'm like, no, not going to do any more mugs. And could I force myself? And have I forced myself to do things in the past? Yeah. Get back in the studio. Got to make that paycheck. Got to pay for a trailer tire or something.
Mm-hmm.
You sit down, you grind out more pots. But when it comes to like pots in my lifetime, I think about like how many pots is my body going to produce, and I don't want to waste those pots on pots I never wanted to make. So if I've only got 10,000 pots in my hands left, I don't want to spend it on pots that I don't care about and I never really wanted to make.
I like that.
Okay, I have a question. Do you think it's important at the beginning to make those pots that you didn't want to make a little bit?
It's hard, because once we start on a path, we can never go back and like redo it.
Okay.
So, we don't have the the ability to go back and go, okay, well, if I did this differently, would I felt better? Would I have made more money? And so it's really hard for me to say, like, should I have done X or Y when I started? And I could try to say I've played guinea pig test scientist on past students and stuff. And I have, there are some students that come in and they want to make that dollar bill, and they will be, they're just grinding out little tchotchke things that they don't care about, but they feel obligated to do it because they need to make money to justify them making stuff. And it's like that vicious circle of making to justify, to make money, to justify, it's like this, it's a mess. And, I've seen those people go through it, and some of them still keep doing it. Like they found the way that it works for them and that they're happy. And, I can't judge how happy they are. I can't, because I'm not in their little boot skis doing their thing. But I've also had other students that have gone, the opposite end, where they're only making work that they love, that, if they don't sell anything, they're still happy having made it, and they're happy having that in the world. And, someone asked me at a workshop a few weeks ago, they said, why do you do anything? Why do you teach workshops? Why do you make pots? And it was one word. It was happiness. And they're like, oh well, yeah, that's the easy answer. And I was like, well, it's not that easy. I didn't say one way or the other way in terms of happiness. I'm teaching workshops so that other people can make things that make themselves happy. And it could be a money thing, or we could, it could get blown up into all sorts of different kind of, metrics of measurement. But in the end, everything is about, what makes you happy. So if, grinding pots out makes someone happy, then, that's going to work for them in the sales thing. And if making really fancy pots makes somebody else happy, then it's going to work out for them. It's finding the business strategy to make each of those processes work. And, there's in the clay world and anything in most things, there's always going to be room for somebody that's willing to work hard. Not that working hard is the answer for everything, because you can work a heck of hard and not get anywhere because you're just doing everything wrong. Or some people get lucky and don't work hard at all, and it's like, boop, they just are making pots.
I feel like we're very isolated in that, where you can kind of go down a path and just keep going, and then maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't, and there's nobody that's checking in with you to like how's it going? How should it be going?
Well, let's say you even had somebody that did that. Let's say, Ryan, you're making pots and you were just grinding away for the last 10 years, and some schmuck came into your booth and said, man, why are you still doing this? You're like, why are you still making these pots like that? It's really hard for people to kind of take in a possible criticism for their business that they've spent the last 10 years working on to reevaluate and make a change. I can't do it. If someone said, oh, you're doing that all wrong, you should do it this way, I'd be like, you are dumb. You are really, really dumb. And I would be just keep doing my thing. So, it takes an amount of trust and a built relationship with somebody that isn't going to happen as somebody walks into the booth. And, I'm lucky enough to have friends in the clay world that are willing to have these kind of raw conversations about, well, where are you? Where am I? Where do you see yourself going? How hard is it on you? What are the other options? What have you tried? What didn't work? What did work? And having those kind of relationships where you can be open, honest, and I guess vulnerable even to, hearing things that you may not want to hear to make those changes that are usually long-term more beneficial, either financially, physically, mentally. And I've got a few people I can do those kind of things with.
Yeah, Becca, you're chiming in there. What were you chiming in, Becca?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I mean, like, I did that, exactly that, like, but I did it to myself almost. I like had a conversation with myself. But when COVID hit, it was just like, I fucking hate this. Like, I was just chasing money, I'd like gotten myself into situations where it was just like, I just need to make pots to make money so that I can pay the bills, and it's still a little bit, that just roller coaster that's just winding up. It's still a little bit like that, but when I came to Indy, it was like changed everything. Now I work like 4 hours a day. I'm so much happier, and I still make enough money to live. Like, and it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy if you can change that, but it is hard. It's hard to, like, that mentality is really hard.
All of those kind of abrupt changes or even gradual changes take an amount of guts.
Yeah.
Financial guts and the ability to weather a failure. Because as soon as you find success in something, it's fairly easy. You have this success. If you continue to do the same thing that you've done, you're going to get that same success. You're going to get that same cookie out of the box. You put the quarter in, you get the cookie kind of stuff. And when you talk to somebody, they go, oh, well, you could put a $1 bill in and get like a steak. And you're like, but I don't have dollar bills. Like, where am I going to get a $1 bill from? And it's like, you can ignore that, or you can go hunt the $1 bill down and get steaks instead. Uh-huh. But it's scary to get to that point where you're going to make a change that, might take a year or 2 years to really effectively, bring that steak out of the box kind of thing. And a lot of people don't have the guts to do that. And they end up in that rut of, and I say rut, it's probably too negative of a term, but they end up in that path that isn't multifaceted. It's a single path, and they're on it, and they've got blinders to everything else that's possible. And, some of them are happy in that, and some of them find that they aren't.
I find that, so me and Ryan are very different in that regard. Like, I am what my mom would call a calculated risk taker. And so I will jump in with no money to my name and say, I'll find it if I need it, and he is very much a planner, but in a good way. Like, he sees something that he wants to change, and he plans to make that change. And so he takes it over years. I take it over a month. Like, I'm buying a van soon so that I can convert it and do kind of like the van life situation. And he asked me, he goes, now, is this a week situation? Like, did you figure this out over a week, or have you been like lingering? Have you thought about this? And I'm like, no, I've thought about it. And so, yeah. And I've found that in my life, like just being around people, there is a hell of a lot more people that are not willing to take risks than the people that are. And especially in business and the way that we're doing, like the way that we do business, just generally, especially in the ceramics industry, it's really freaking scary. Like it's not a cheap thing to jump around in, you know?
It's one of, like I did an experiment with another artist. He blew glass, and we were good friends. Actually, I was a student of his in college. And he was in my booth one day, and he's like, what's the cheapest thing you have in your booth? And it might have been like a $15 funnel vase. And he said, have you ever thought about not putting them in your booth? And I said, no. I mean, people can afford a little $15 thing. He's like, yeah, next year I'm not going to make any flowers. I'm not going to make any of the cheap little paperweights. I'm just gonna make the high end stuff. And I said, really? And he's like, yeah. I said, okay. I'll tell you what. I'll do it too. I won't make any cheap things. My cheapest thing will be $50, and next year I'll only sell things above that. And he lasted one show, and that was his idea. And so I stuck it out for the whole year, and it taught me, in terms of like sales and people, purchasing things, is that when you give somebody a lower priced option and they still want to, participate in your life and supporting you in some way, that some of them will pick the cheapest thing, and it doesn't matter what the cheapest thing is, but other people will spend more based on the lowest priced item. So let's say like if I had a $15 item and my highest was $100, that some people just want to be in the middle. They want to get like a mid-range item. So they'll spend $75. Whereas if I had 50 and 1,000, I had as many people that would have bought that $75 item now paying, $500 items. So it was like this weird thing that, I stuck it out for the whole year. Because, you might have a shitty show, nobody shows up, and you're like, oh, man, I'm questioning this decision. Maybe if I had little cheapy things, and then you get to the end of the year, and it's like, okay, I only sold 200 pots, but I made 10 times the money that I did last year selling, 500 pots. And it's like, well, in terms of like body mechanics and hurting yourself versus long making money and longevity thing, it was a no-brainer for me. Like I got to stop making the little things that are going to burn me out and just concentrate on the bigger things or the fancier things.
Yeah, we talked about that a few different times about like if it's better when you're starting out to make higher production, like more things so that you can understand the market, versus like focusing on fewer things, higher quality, higher price. But I'm guessing it depends on the part of your career where you're at, where that makes the most sense.
I would, things like that, especially doing like outdoor craft shows, it takes a whole year, I think, to really implement a change, understand the change, and be able to grow from that change. So if you're a beginner, I've got a student right now, or past student right now that's on her second year doing shows, and her first year was rough. The second year is not much different. It's been pretty rough. She's seen some more success, but she has this she has like a want to do more than what she's capable of. And instead of like slowing down, making some really nice pots, she's still trying to grind out more than her body can handle, and that her mental state can handle. So like she came in like 45 minutes. I did a show this last weekend, my first craft show in a very long time. And she came in, 45 minutes, like, I just couldn't get up. And it's like, that's a problem. Like if you can't physically get up, then then it's what something that you're doing isn't, that'll pop up. Get out of the way.
Yeah, I think it's
okay.
I see a lot of similarities to what you're talking about. Like, well, first when Becca was talking about the risk taking, I was like, well, what Tim was saying about the whole, like, some people won't make the jump. Like, you could put $1 in, but you could get more back. But I'm like, I'm sitting in this nice job. I'm going to do it on the side as long as I can, so I keep making that money in while I can still have the comfortability of doing it on the side. But also, it's like grinding on the side to make as many pots as possible so I can go to these shows and sell them. And you're saying, like, maybe you don't need to make shot glasses, for instance. Like, maybe you don't need to make spoon rests, for instance. But it's like, I did a show this week and I sold like 60 of them, and that, that's a lot of spoon rests. But it's like, I like making them; they're easy. But it's also like, am I limiting myself with the sale potential?
Yeah.
Once I get the repeat customers, but
So if I try to talk to some folks about this in a way that what kind of doors are spoon rests going to open up?
it's like an entry point for a customer that might come back and see the next year and buy something. It's kind of the way I see it, but yeah.
That's a sale. That's just sales. So
yeah,
any item could bring in the next sale kind of thing. But
Right.
what is a spoon rest going to do bigger? Like, if you sold a spoon rest to somebody or somebody saw a spoon rest, are they going to invite you to a gallery show? Are they going to want to write an article about the spoon rest? Are they going to have you come and do a workshop to make a spoon rest?
but I'm in it to sell it to the customer. I don't care about the gallery stuff.
You don't care about it now. But
That's
it's,
the key, right? Like, what I think that's also the key. Like, we both struggle with this, by the way. But like, what do you want in your future, right? Like, do you want, like, what we say, we sell basic bitch pots. That's what we call them.
yeah, I heard that term.
Yeah. We sell basic bitch pots. And like, do we want to sell like fancier stuff? Like, do we want to like get into that? And it's so interesting, like, I don't know, like the artsy part of it or the other part, like the production part, like what,
Or
where
the,
do you go,
like
So,
making it for
I've
the-
got a few, instances where, I can compare and contrast kind of things. So, my first shows, it was making, quick things. When I was at Syracuse University, I was filling a 30 cubic foot kiln twice a week. I mean, I was making pots. I was just,
Right.
which is why they all hated me. I mean, I just a ton of pots, like just.
Same.
Yeah.
So when I got out and the first time I won a prize at a show, I was like, "What do you mean? You're gonna give me money because I made a piece of pot and you're not gonna buy it? You're just gonna give me money?" And so I said, "Well, I started looking at shows that gave prize money, and some of them, were like $1,500, and you're not selling the pot, you get to keep the pot, and it just." You bring it to the next show and submit it for that jury, and you win another award. So I was making, I want to say one year, it was like 25% of my income was actually just the award money from, making a few fancy pots or enough fancy pots that if it was a whole booth juror,
Yeah.
that, I got an award. Is that like the thing I think people should shoot for? No, that's silly time. Like you can't, especially judges, in general, or, so
Subjective, right?
you could come in and, you're picking your nose that one time and they come in and they're like, "Oh, nope, that guy's not going to win anything. He's drilling for boogers." And but the next time, they come in and you give them a cookie and a water and you happen to know their daughter from something or other. And they're like, "Oh," and then you get the award. So you can't plan on those kind of things. But I can say that for me, if I had just done, as you say, basic bitch pots, less doors would have opened up. And,
Yeah, sure.
and it's, I've tried to take almost every opportunity that somebody has said, "Hey, would you try this? Would you give this a shot? Would you do this? Would you do that?" I've almost always said yes. I can't
From a
think
customer
I've
commission
said-
standpoint or from like a gallery standpoint?
from an everything standpoint. Like somebody says, "Would you do a workshop?" And I'll say, the very first one, I was like, "I don't know what that means, but yes, let's do a workshop." And it was in New Jersey in Parsippany. There was that was from YouTube. They're like, "Oh, our membership is watching YouTube videos. Would you do a workshop?" And I was like, "Sure." And had I not done that, I may not have done workshops after that. And then from doing that one, I did a few more that were closer. And now it's a huge chunk of my business is doing workshops. But, I don't know if I could have or draw a workshop participant if I was making, I don't know if I like the term basic bitch pots, but you used it, so I don't know if I could pull the same kind of group together if I was making those kind of pots.
Because there's a lot of people that can do that. So what sets you apart that somebody would come to
Right.
see you do
Yeah.
the same thing that a lot of other people can?
And I'm not shitting on the basic bitch pots.
Also, we can't call them anything else now because if somebody finds that term offensive, then we can't call it like something else because then they're going to be like,
oh well, I can do this.
My kind of pottery is that.
Yeah. And it's not that I find it offensive. I don't want it to be demeaning. That it's
Yeah.
I totally get that style of pottery. In my world, we call it kind of country bumpkin pottery.
That's what I was gonna say.
And I don't know if that's worse or not, but like, one of the things I was just seeing this last week. It looks like it belongs at Applefest, and in Central New York, Applefest is like the countryest of craft kind of, where nothing is cleaned up. There's nothing trimmed. They've got a pile of handles on the floor that they roll their mug in, and whatever sticks they put on the shelf. It's like it's that kind of style. And you guys don't do that, right?
No, we don't do that.
Good.
I don't make candles. I've stopped. I don't like them. They don't bring me joy. So
They don't bring you joy. Don't listen to her.
Yeah, I think there's business out there for that. Like, I've made it worthwhile doing that, but also, like, you're talking about longevity. Like, can that longevity be sustainable? Mm-hmm. So at some point, making those decisions of cutting out potential income that I know is like semi-guaranteed or something that I can do, but it's not gonna, I can't scale that once I reach so many customers, and then it's like, am I just focusing time on those small things that are not gonna push my business, 2x, 3 years down the road or whatever, because there's just not enough time, right?
Yeah. There's so much emotional math and physical math and mathy math that goes into those kind of things. And if we were at a coffee shop and had a bunch of pens and papers and calculators and things, it's something that we could probably break down. What you're physically capable of doing in a year, right, how much that's worth, and all that kind of stuff. And maybe you've done that. Maybe you have done that kind of math.
He probably has. I haven't.
I haven't got spreadsheet on the. Maybe this is a good segue into pricing, but yeah, I have not got that detailed with it.
Because, what I've ended up doing like this last year. So last year, I did just pots, as many pots as I could do. This year, it was how many workshops can I do, and still be sane, and still have a reasonably happy life at home and all that kind of stuff. And I traveled for 5 workshops, and I did 8 in-person workshops. And when I look at effort, like physical effort, mental effort, all that kind of rolled into like this ball of effort, financially, workshops were so much better for me than making pots. But I mean, it's not that I don't enjoy workshops. I do. The people that take them know that I love doing a workshop, but I also love making pots. So
right.
There's like next year, hopefully, I try to find like a
balance,
making workshop balance that I can fine tune into the future. But I can't imagine making as much money as I did in pots, or as much money as I did in workshops by making pots. I know I physically can't. So
yeah.
It's about getting more steak out of that box. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question, and like I said, you don't have to answer this like with real numbers.
Answer everything, all of it.
Okay, because I'm starting to do workshops on like efficiency and stuff, and starting to do consultations and stuff, and I'm struggling because I am a cheap human being, and so I am struggling because I'm like, I don't know how much to price myself and my worth for, and I'm wondering what you did at the beginning versus what you do now versus like how much you charge and how you like figured that out.
Yeah. So the first workshop that I did, the gallery owner the space owner, what are the studio owner? Jeez.
Yeah.
The studio owner in Parsippany said, okay, we're going to pay you per head. So, if 40 people show up and you get $40 or $80 or however much it was a head, I'm going to keep a percentage, and I think it was a really small amount. And that was great.
What's a small amount? Like they take 30, you get 70% or something?
Let's see. No, it was a lot less than that. Like, it was probably unfair for the person, but they loved it. The membership loved it and everything. So they ended up very happy at the end, and I was rich for the time because I was making I made more in that workshop than I did, probably for the whole time selling pots that year. So that was one strategy of pricing. Nobody else wanted to price that way. And in the end, if only 10 people show up, that would have really stunk for me,
Yeah.
But instead, they put as many people in that studio as would fit. So it's a matter of kind of that risk reward, where do you balance it? And we ended up going by a daily rate. And it was easy for the workshop place to plan it because they knew exactly what they were going to be paying and it wasn't going to change. And I was able to then know also way in advance if that workshop goes, what my income is going to be. And this has been 10 years now or more of doing, so it was $1,000 a day. Like that was the rate, $1,000 a day. And they had to put me up and they had to pay for travel. So if I was driving there, they'd pay mileage. If I was flying, they'd pick me up at the airport, pay for my plane ticket kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And, it was a few years ago, one of the, names. I'm getting old or something.
So no matter whether it was you or Becca Otis or Kurt Hammerly or whoever is coming, it was $1,000 a day standard.
Well, that was for me that
was his rate.
That was my rate.
That was your rate that you told them.
Yes, yeah. I found later on that was like the highest rate people were ever paying. There were people that were way above me in ceramic strata that were charging half that. I'm like, what? I don't know how you get out of the studio for that amount of time. I could sit in the studio and throw $1,000 worth of pots. Why am I going to travel halfway across the country, teach a bunch of people how to make my stuff or, show them things for less than that? I don't. A lot
of leverage on the studio side of, we get to let them tell us what they want, and they probably don't. Well, after early on in the workshopping, I guess.
It depends. Sometimes people don't, sometimes there's funding sometimes, and if you don't ask for it, you can't get it. If you don't have $1,000 pot in the booth, you're never going to sell $1,000 pot.
Right.
And so if you're doing, and there are people that still will do workshops for $250 a day. All of the craft schools like Aeromont and Haystack and all those, I don't know if it's changed recently, but they were spending, $500 for the week for a presenter. Just silly amounts of not paying a presenter that are bringing all these people to their facility and, they're making money on, but it's not going back to the presenters. And
the presenters probably like the ability to have that association with that well-known establishment like Archie Bray or those different names that are pretty popular.
And they're using their name to hose the artists.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what happens is, you're right. It's an ego-driven, response to I did a workshop at Aeromont. And in the end, if Aeromont isn't paying anybody, and I'm saying Aeromont, I don't mean Aeromont. Sorry, Aeromont, if you're not any of this, it's just the first name that came, which means you're really important. But the article was by Kristen Kiefer. She's the one who wrote the article for Ceramics Monthly about
I saw that, yeah.
The wage gap and everything with, different, between sex and education and all that. And it feels good to do a thing, but in the end, it's a job. And if somebody's benefiting more than the person that has the talent, then I think the balance is off in the situation. Mm-hmm. And, if I go to a workshop and, I'm getting paid $1,000, but they're bringing in $3,000 in revenue from that day, that seems off. That would be off. And am I gutsy enough to call them out on it? No, but it would be in my head later on, I don't need to do that again. It's almost like, I'll buy pots from people, and if they're not charging enough for their pots, I'll pay more because I don't want to be in debt, in that pottery indebtedness that I got a deal on a pot. I don't want to be screwing a potter out of their effort. So, like if I'm buying a $100 mug and they're only charging 50, I'll give them 100 because it's what it's worth, and I don't want to feel like I'm gypping them. And I guess I expect that same thing from a facility. If I'm going to a studio and they're making $3,000 and they're paying me $1,000, yeah, and they've got other operating costs and blah 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 blah. But in the end, they wouldn't have made that $2,000 if I hadn't shown up.
Yeah.
So
and you have to rely on your pot sales at the show to make it.
Yeah, I never liked that.
Or, like, make it worth it, I guess. I'm sure a lot of artists probably expect that that's part of like what makes it worth it, right? Is whether they sell pots or not.
Yep. Some places will take a percentage of that too. It's not always. You just say that's bullshit?
Yeah, I said that's bullshit.
Well, it depends. Some facilities are going to be wrapping them, and they're going to be taking the credit card fees and
Okay, fine.
and doing all that. Some places, won't do any of that. And then in that case, yeah, I'm taking everything. But that's something in like the negotiation or the conversation that you have with that studio space is planning out those kind of things. Like, am I able to sell pots? Is there going to be a percentage in selling those pots? Or tools or anything else that you might bring to sell. It's one of those things that you want to have on the books so it's not a surprise when you get there.
Mm-hmm. Is it tough having different rates based on the place you're at? I'm sure you can have more confident conversations that you've already got paid X somewhere, and then you've already had these experiences of like what you can get, and then you go into a situation and like, this is my rate, this is what I expect, and then they can counter or.
No, typically I would stand. For instance, like I did Alabama Clay Conference this last year, and their budget per artist is $1,000, and it's for 2 days. And I said, sure, I'm going to do that because Stacy Morgan was helping run it, and she's a friend, so I will participate in that capacity. And I got to meet great people, and it was a great time. So there are some instances where I will, reduce what I expect to come in so that I can participate in things that I want to do. If it was something that I didn't want to do, I am not going to. It's not that I never want. I guess I always want to do workshops. But, that I'm not going to, bend or anything. Actually, this next year, I'm raising my daily rate, just to keep up with, truck costs. Poor Mr.
Can we
Truck.
ask how much? Or are you going to tell us how much? You don't have to.
No, it's $1,500 is going to be next year's rate. So, so like in-person workshops, like the ones that I had coming here, I had a lot of expenses this year just because I was setting up a space, kind of a naked space. So I had a lot more initial, expenses. But my daily rate when I'm doing them in person, like I'm the one in charge of the space and everything, I want to at least get $2,000 a day. Like that's my base to deal with all the stuff that leads up to that workshop. Because really, if you just count the workshop day, that's not fair. Because it's all the things that you do that promote that workshop, answering questions on Facebook, doing all the Facebook Lives. You're kind of double dipping in that, that community that you're building is, your
customers a little bit.
Yeah, it's doing lots of things, but you still had to do it. If I just put out a workshop and nobody knew who I was, nobody's going to come to it. So,
right.
All that other stuff that I do builds those kind of things up so that I can run workshops. And this last one, it was $800 a person, and it didn't cover the housing this time, but it was 3.5 days of me giving everything that I could possibly give them that they could fit in that amount of time. And, they all seemed happy. Now, whether or not they, just seem happy because, they're around me and they go home and I hate Tim C. I don't know that. They don't tell me those kind of things. But, for the most part, the groups all want to come back as a group next year. And,
no, it's true. It's true. I've done workshops. I did a workshop with Danny Meisiger. And everybody in that workshop was like, we should come back next year. Like, it is such a bonding. Actually, ironically, I'm going out to Colorado to do a one-on-one session with one of the ladies that was there.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you're gonna fly to Colorado for a one-on-one?
Yeah.
For $1,000 a day?
No.
What? You gotta get on that game.
No, I'm not. No, I did it totally wrong. I'm fully willing to admit that I did it totally wrong, but this is my first time doing it. And I am also, my parents live there, so I'm taking half of the week as like a don't do anything type of week.
It's a mixed usage activity weekend.
It's definitely a mixed usage activity, and I'm fully aware that I charged like way too little, and I'm very embarrassed about that. But also,
how much did you charge?
I'm not gonna say. So, no, I don't want to say because it's really embarrassing.
Don't be embarrassed. This is how we learn.
I know. Well, I am learning
without knowing.
That's why I asked you that question, because I knew that you'd have a really good answer. So when I do consultations, I know you're going to say I'm charging way too little. I do $60 an hour. And so I basically, and she's putting me up in her house and
paying for your flight and all that.
Yeah, paid for my flight and picking me up. And so I like did not know what to say, and I'm like super nervous about this stuff, and I don't have like the audacity. So like
No, any point is a starting point.
Yeah, so I told her, I was like, I guess we'll just do $60. I think I either said $60 an hour or $100 an hour. And because also I'm like really nervous, because what I'm finding is that because I'm teaching efficiency, it's really fast. Like it's like I have like 4 things to tell you that will make you better, and they're like, okay, I'm ready. And like, so yeah, I'm like struggling with that. And then I also am doing a workshop at a brand new studio, and that one I told her $60 an hour, and that's like
in Colorado.
Honestly, yeah, I don't know if I would change that one too much, because she just started and I've been in that position, so I know I'd like want her to get more people, but yeah. So what? Anyway, continue.
No. You're the one asking the questions here.
I know. So should we be like paying you $1,000 to do this interview? No, I'm kidding.
Well, no, that's a good question. No, that is a good question. That's a valid question. I do some things, a lot of things for free, absolutely free, no cost.
Yeah.
Like in the Facebook group, the beginner pottery group there. If somebody posts an hour-long video, I'm going to watch every second of it, and I'm going to comment on everything that I can see. Yeah. And I do that for free. And it's probably, I would say it's some business people would be like, no, what are you doing?
Right.
And, but it's, I think I'm more in the business of building community than I am selling workshops or selling pots when you have community built around what you do, when you ask, or when you give people the ability to pay for something, they typically respond in a way that is generous. As generous as they felt you were with your time. So like if I do an online sale, the big sale kind of thing, people don't need $1,000 mug. People don't need a $250 mug. It's not a rational thing to purchase, but it's a way for them to give back to what I have given them freely with no strings attached. Like, I'm never going to be like, oh, well, I helped you. Do you remember that? And you really should buy one of my mugs over here. Right. No, there's never any kind of like guilt trip that I go into it. It's always like, actually, I think just today someone asked, how do I pay for, they saw a video from last year and like, how do I pay for, what you taught me? And it's like, no, don't worry about it. Like this catch up later.
Yeah, you can pay me by telling other people what you learned so that you can save them time, and like it keeps snowballing to other people. Hopefully that's kind of the idea of sharing knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Not there's anything wrong with paying or selling that knowledge. Like that's the other part of it is, my experience in college was so not good that I don't want anybody to ever have to pay for a college education. If I can make that up in doing question and answers and little videos on YouTube and all that, if somebody could get the same thing that I got out of my college education for free, like that's sort of a goal, which doesn't usually bode well for me getting college gigs. Like I haven't done a lot at schools, and I don't know if they just get that sense from Tim's an anti-academic, but I mean, going that far into debt for a craft medium, I don't know. I mean, if I wanted to teach, and then it's that whole cycle of, well, you got to go to college to teach, and then you got to teach when you get out of college because you can't pay for it any other way, kind of cycle of,
Yeah.
90% of the kids are going to end up with debt that they're never going to get out from underneath without, a different job, not doing pottery.
Yeah, especially by selling pots. Like,
Yeah, it's like, what did you expect? And then it's like, oh, well, what they expected was you to become a teacher to make more kids to do that. So that, I don't know, it's not the wagon wheel I wanted to be a part of.
yeah.
So then I do it all for free out of a big V vendetta.
Yeah. Well, I recently kind of like had this conversation with my friend Quincy, who's he has the same mentality as you. He's very similar to you. And he sells paintings for like thousands and thousands of dollars. And he was like, if you never give people the chance to give to you, they will, like, you never know. Like, and so like, somebody told him like a long time ago, he was gonna like start an art thing overseas and like do a missionary something. And somebody was like, if you don't give people the chance to give to you, then like, how would you know? And he had a rager. He had brought in kegs and like charged $10 a head and like had paintings and stuff. And he would be like, this is $250. People would hand him $500, like, and all that stuff. And I've been kind of like seeing that. So I like recently put a donation tab on my website because, and like one of the persons that I did a consultation with, she like sent me money and was like, you have sped my life up. Like, you've made my pots be twice as fast. It was well worth the money plus. And I was like, ugh.
I found it's almost a double-edged sword emotionally, though. Like, if you put up a donation thing and then nobody donates, it's like, oh. It's
not doing anything of value, right?
Like, do people really like me? And then if they don't, then it's all like, oh.
But then it's like, are you asking for donations from people that don't have a lot of funds to be donating anyways? So it's like,
I just have it there, and I have a thing to say, if you want, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. I don't give a fuck. I don't really care if people like me or not. Like,
I did that similar thing last year because people wanted to pay me. And so doing the beginner pottery group, I just put up a buy me cat food thing. It was like buy me a coffee, but I turned it to cat food. And, in the beginning, everybody paid a big chunk in, and then, it twiddles off, and I don't think people have paid for cat food in a long time. But I'm not relying on the cat food. It was a way for them. Because I think there's also like a guilt component to this. If you get so much from somebody, you don't have the ability to give back from them, that guilt-o-meter goes up. And you can get to the point where the guilt-o-meter is so full that you don't want to take any more of their time because you feel so guilty about it.
Yeah, that's true.
A donation button can keep somebody, participating and still asking those questions without feeling like they're just, taking and taking and taking without the ability to give anything back.
Yeah.
We need a donate button, Pekka.
Yeah, we as as the podcast, we give a lot for free, and that's actually why we started a Patreon. And we did the Patreon just purely. It has nothing on there. Like, it has we have this video on there.
Yeah.
Like, it has the podcast with video. And we basically were like, you know what? Lots of people want to support us. And if they do, this is here. If you don't, that's fine.
Yeah. That's one of the things I've thought about doing. Is like, yeah, I could. But what could I give that's more than I'm already giving? Like, I don't have anything else to put up. I mean, I could be like cat rubbing videos. Like, this is my kitty. And this is how I pet my kitty. But that's going to be it.
A cat.
Here's me petting a cat. Here's me in my tiny boat. But in terms of pottery stuff, if I could have posted it already, I've done it. And I feel like if I did a Patreon, it would be like, people could be like, I saw that already. Like, oh, you've done this. So. And
and sometimes you try to give like exclusive access of like, okay, well, you can have one-on-ones or something, but then it's like they really just are on the sidelines, like giving money. They don't really care to like engage too much. They just want to like give you a little bit, which is fine too. So
yeah, I mean, getting money's all right. There's
yeah,
it's kind of cool. I like buying Twizzlers and stuff.
Yeah, money's okay. I mean, it doesn't suck.
There's definitely worse things than money.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about pricing while we're talking about money?
Sure.
Yeah, I remember a long time ago you put a post up or a video. I think it was a video or a post, and it was like had a really interesting perspective on pricing. And you've kind of talked about it already a little bit, but I think it was about like scaling with. I can't remember.
Well, I mean, my general strategy is to get as much as you can for a pot. You know, don't leave anything on the table that if it's like a big balance of, you know, how many pots you can make in a year, how much inventory can you hold on to, and, you know, what your body's, you know, capable of long term. So if I think I talked about it like in widgets, you know, like you can make one widget, or you can make 100 widgets for $1 and make $100. And back up. This is math. I gotta get my seat changed, stretch a little bit. Math ain't my thing. Neither is no reading like stuff. So let's back up. Organize thoughts. It's about getting the most per piece, really. So if we have 100 things and we sell 100 things in the first show that we have, and we made our $100, we don't make any more money on that for the rest of the year. That's the 100. Those are like the most we can make in a year. 100 things are gone. We have $100 in our pocket. If instead I charged $10 and I sold 10 things that year, I made the same amount of money and still have 90% of my inventory left that I could sell someplace else.
Yeah.
And that's kind of that balance. It's how much is left at the end of the year. And when I was doing outdoor shows, I was shooting for 25% of my inventory left. So if I made 100 mugs in the year and I sold 50 of them, I gauged that my price was too high. If I sold 100 of them or 90 of them, I gauged that my price was a little too low. And I would balance that for the next year. There are some instances I would do a show and, you know, I'd have a piece out and it would sell. I'd put the next one out and it would sell. I'd keep going like that. I was like, okay, that's a shitty price point. I'm losing money. I'm going to up it. And it really sunk home when I saw there was a ceramic person that doing like these burner things. You put kerosene in. I don't know. It was a thing. They sold everything the first day before lunch. And I left them a note. I said, you guys fucked up. Like this, I'm sorry, I swore. Oh, yeah, I pulled it back up. I beat you, Ryan.
It's now a PG-13 movie.
That, you know, I wrote them a note and I said, you know, because they had a note on their booth like, we sold out, you know, see us at the next show kind of thing. And I thought, if they sold out, then their price was so low that people bought it. And if they would have charged another $10, they might still have inventory for the end of that day. If they sold $20 more, they might have inventory for the rest of the week and then have made maybe 10 times as much as they did if it was a cheaper thing, you know what I mean? Yeah. So at that point, it's like, if I sell out everything that I've made, then I am screwing up my pricing. And that was kind of that light bulb moment for me that I don't need to sell everything. That's not a badge. That's not like an honor. Like, oh, I sold everything in my booth. It's like, no, that was stupid. If you sold everything in your booth and you shittily priced your stuff, because now how many weeks is it going to take to fill that booth again? For me, it would take another four months or something for me to fill a booth. And
right.
So, you know, it was like that was the start of it.
And does it vary based on the form? Like, some forms you could consistently sell 50% of what you bring, and then some forms you typically sell like 10% of what you bring. So you just have to like adjust the price accordingly.
I judged it on my yearly ability to make. So I didn't look at it as a micro, you know, weekly kind of thing. It was for the year. So, yeah. You know, if I can make, I'll say mugs, like if I can make 100 mugs in a year, and that's about, you know, what I would do, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, but let's say it's 100 mugs. that I wanted to get as much for them as I could. And I've had arguments with people that, oh, well, I'm pricing, lower income people out of it. And it's like, I'm not. I'm getting as much as I can for my object, just like everybody else that's selling anything really is kind of doing. And it's not like I'm taking that money and blowing it on Coke and stuff or tiny boats or all that. No, it's giving me the opportunity to make more empty bowls or, things like that. So in terms of that pricing strategy, and I've lost it. I can't keep up with that when I look at my online sale, because I sell everything on my online sale right away. Everything's sold. And it kind of is me I'm saying one thing and doing another.
Right.
And because there is like a threshold of pricing that gets beyond just mere economics and starts to go into like morality. And, could I sell a mug
by scarcity now because they know you have one sale, so they have to buy it, or else they got to come to a workshop and buy it. Like, there's no other option.
Right, but nobody needs the mug. It's
right.
Not like it's not a necessity. Right. But I can't price something beyond what I think it's worth.
Okay, yeah.
So,
and also, I think that, you're not necessarily failing because, let's say you went to a show and didn't announce it, with all of the things from your online sale, you're not necessarily going to sell out.
Nobody's going to buy it.
Because of the internet.
Yeah.
That is, you've put a lot of different work into it. So, yeah, I see what you're saying.
So, there are potters that we know that have sold things that aren't worth what they're pricing them at. And they're also not part of the ceramic community. I don't know if you could, you can mentally take a picture of who those people are and do they participate at all in the ceramics world? No.
Right. No.
They've got their own little thing and they're jamming it out and they're charging way more than what that pot is worth because they're not selling it to potters and they're not participating in the ceramic community as like a check. And financially and business-wise, that seems awesome. But when I look at, the effort per pot kind of thing and the reward for pot versus, doing a workshop or something that selling pots aren't like the best way to make a living, I think, making pots. My facial expressions don't come through on video on audio things, but I'll try to say it again coherently. Making pots isn't always the best way to make money making pots or selling pots. Yeah, that's what it is. Selling pots isn't the best way to make money making pots. For me, that the passive income from YouTube and Instagram and the workshop thing, I think. Did you hear that?
No.
There's something spooky. I think that it's always a mix. I think is going to be better for me than it is just sticking on one thing. Even if I'm doing it really well and I'm charging more than anybody else and I'm making more pots than anybody else, kind of thing. I don't think it's ever going to be the right answer for me to just do that one thing.
I wonder if the people that sell strictly to people that are not in pottery or don't care as much about being part of the community, if they get as much longevity and or if they get, less appreciation for what they're making, or I wonder if that's part of a factor, or if
that is an awesome question, and I have been waiting. When are they going to start to fail? When have they pushed their growth envelope to the point where it starts to collapse? Because if Starbucks does that, they can absorb those kind of losses and that kind of restructuring. But can a potter, price themselves to the point where, it's ludicrous what they're charging, have their market collapse because the people that could buy those things have saturated the work, they're buying the work. It's not what they expected. It's not, what they think is good, or their friends don't like it, kind of thing. And then it collapses. What do they do when that happens?
Or if it's a trend or something.
Person in mind for this, because I do.
There's a handful of people, and when I say I'm in the back like Mr. Burns, it's not that I want to see their downfall. I want to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
I want to see, if they can restructure, can they pivot in a way that will, keep them in the craft, or, are they going to turn to, showing people how to do social media marketing? Because that's really what their business seems to be based in, and that's for the most of those kind of things. And I think it probably goes in any medium that some people are better marketers than they are potters, and.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think Instagram's given people that ability to, you can find an audience and they don't know any better necessarily, but also like you should also want people to be able to find that business like as well. Like I still like that people can make money that way. I mean,
I do.
Maybe you don't like the pot quality, but like, I like that people can make business for themselves and make it work.
Right. I would say in the general math, teeter-totter of things, that I would much rather see somebody making crappy pots and making a living doing that than working for somebody else and giving them another yacht and a beach house and making minimum wage. Like,
absolutely.
I would support the potter selling, the worst, lumpy, horrible handles dipped mug and just bad everything, and them making a living than them working for Jeff Bezos. Like no,
right.
don't support that.
Yeah, we often have this conversation where it's like somebody may have a quality that we don't necessarily think is up to par, but also like
if people are willing to pay for it, then who are we to say you can't charge that?
Well, that's one of those morality things, and everybody has their own morality on what but there's like a bigger audience in terms of who's watching that interaction play out. And let's say that person does their market collapses and they're starting back at the beginning, and the people that have seen what they are willing to do to other people to make $1 will haunt them as they go forward. If they're like, oh well, I blew it, I don't have a market anymore, I need some help, could you guys share my post? No. I mean, not the like it's like I'm gonna get you back kind of thing, but it's like you didn't give anything to anybody. All you did was take. And now, and that's what I consider those kind of interactions or those kind of sales. It's taking more than they're giving.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it was an equal exchange, like the pot is worth that, then it's it's a fair trade. But when it's overvalued or whatever, then it's a one-sided transaction.
Yeah.
And
do you think customers get that sense? Like, if you give a lot of your process, the customer's never going to make a pot themselves. But
Mm-hmm.
like, do you think that's just embedded into it, that like that adds value whether they like need to see the behind the scenes or they don't? Like, or the interaction one-to-one with you at a show is adding value?
That seems like a different train track.
Yeah.
We've gotten out of the boat and got on a train.
You're because you were before you were talking about
trying to
giving
figure
to
it
the
out.
community of makers that are your peers to help them do better.
Yep.
Versus, I was also considering it like if you share a process on your feed that is maybe not as pretty as somebody that only shows finished product.
Okay.
Maybe the customer can get value out of that and be willing to pay what you're offering.
I would say anytime you can share the story of the pot, it adds value.
Yeah.
But let's Potter Y that is charging 10 times really what his peers would say that pot is worth. I don't think can make up for that by sharing process or things. If it's a simple.
It never levels out.
Right. I mean, I don't think it could level out, but I'm not the pottery police. I'm not the morality judge of what is right or wrong in clay. I can just look at it through my lens and go, oh, like that mug isn't worth that. But It's not like I'm going to be like, wee wee like, pull them over like, I'm going to have to take away your battery card here. No, that's like, you can't do that. But, there is the only way that that's ever going to kind of, work itself out is if there is an issue or if there's a collapse. And then, there's like a balance that happens. And maybe there never will be. Maybe he's the kid on the teeter-totter that always holds the little kid up. And, the kid's never going to come down.
Or you find out just in time to where you have enough customers that like have an issue that you can counteract it in time, but hopefully not enough people have had issue. It's like if you find out about vitrification like 5 years down the road after
oh no,
thousands of people have your stuff, and then you're like, oh shit, I hope more people don't come back and ask for a refund.
Oh no, when you get to that point, you just double down. They're supposed to be like that.
Yeah.
That's
sure.
the way I meant them to be. Prove
Did you
me
know
wrong.
that you can actually put essential oils on the bottom of your mug, and it'll actually have a nice fragrance while you're sipping your tea.
You can have peppermint everything. I feel like we've covered a lot of things, but not gotten all the way to the bottom of any of them. Does that make sense?
That's how all life is.
That's
Yeah.
because like the pricing thing. Like I know there's more on pricing stuff.
I did have another question about pricing. So
Of course, yeah.
something about, I hear some people every now and then of like, should you price differently based on the medium that you're selling? Like if you're obviously wholesale, it's going to be a different price, but wholesale consignment shows online, if you're doing a commission, like how do you decide what the price? Do you price it differently, and why or why not?
It's always the same because there's nothing more embarrassing than somebody finding 2 stickers on a piece. I think it's like the Broadway. I saw it happen in a gallery. So Clayscapes had a gallery, and people would bring in work. And because it was a gallery, and the gallery was going to take, and Don, I think, would take like 40% or 30% sometimes. It wasn't like it was a 50-50 cut.
Yeah.
He a lesser amount. And people would still, put a higher price tag on. And I remember him walking around one gallery show and finding like 3 or 4 stickers that the artist had put, had forgotten to take off versus what they were listed on, like the inventory sheet. And he was like, I'm never going to deal with that person again. Never going to have, they're never going to be invited to anything that I do. They're dead to me. I mean, I'm putting words in Don's mouth.
There's 69. There's 69 from
Yeah. into the circular filing cabinet. That
I think it's 86.
they burned a
That's
bridge.
right. I
What's
think
that?
that's 86. Isn't that
Oh, it's
right?
the 86?
Yeah, I don't know what your mind was on, but
I was gonna let it go.
You know what? Do you know what happened to me the other day? So
I don't think we should get into this.
If it has anything to
I
relate
don't
to
know if we can go
86.
above that.
I think that, well, I have like an issue. So I've been having like an issue with numbers recently, and I know that 69 is like obviously not appropriate at all. But the other day I was at a show, and like, you know how on Venmo it like asks you may not know because I know you're kind of old school, but it asks you like what your last 4 digits of your phone number are. It, like, to confirm the sale, and this lady was like, what's the last 4 digits of your phone number? And I fucking forgot. Like, I had no idea. And for the next 30 minutes, I completely forgot my phone number. I had no idea what my phone number was. And I'm, like, in my brain at this fucking beer festival trying to, like, figure out what my phone number is. And
All she had to do was hit pay without confirming.
Yeah.
I know. We did that, and like, but it was just so wild that I just like, I was like,
I
I
hope
cannot.
nobody else asked me that throughout the day.
It-
I feel like the
it-
business
it
kind of
had
might
to
not
be
ask
like-
that though.
I had to be like, pay without confirming, pay without confirming.
Wow.
I mean, I could have just looked at my phone, but still, it was just like I'm a hot mess right now. My
Yeah.
brain.
I
Just,
hope you saying that doesn't make me forget my phone number.
I don't think it will. I don't think it will. What do
Nope,
you
I
say?
got it.
What?
I remember it.
Okay, good. That's good.
Yeah.
I hope I don't forget mine again.
Yeah. So the gallery 86 that person, and they're like, all right, I'm not going to interact with them again. Is it just like, hey, you're being too greedy, or is it just they just don't understand why you would not charge more?
So yeah, well, I think for anything that you like, let's say it's an in-person sale. I'm taking cash, and I'm charging $100 for a thing, and I get all that $100. A gallery, yeah, they're taking a cut because they're dealing with all the things that go into dealing with a sale. Now, I'm super not okay with like the gallery going, okay, we want a 50% cut, but you've got to do the marketing, and you've got to do the shipping, and you've got to
bullshit.
you've got to do all this other stuff that I would expect. Like if I'm paying 50%, I'm dropping a pot off and I'm getting a paycheck. Like that's how that interaction is going to work. Now, if it's a 25% kind of position, then I might expect to do a little bit more. But in the end, wherever you're going, if you're changing the price, then people are going to end up catching on. And even if they don't, if they could catch on, then they're going to be looking for deals and sales, and they're going to try to catch you at one thing, and then you're not going to sell anything at the thing where you might have it priced higher. And changing stickers stinks, or justifying why you have a different price stinks. And
that's another thing that, like, as far as pricing goes, we've talked about this in regards to wholesale, but I think it also applies to galleries. Like, if you are moving towards a career that involves a gallery, you need to start pricing your items to expect that percentage taken out and what makes sense to you. Like, well, for wholesale, okay, he's like, but like, also, well, if you're pricing too low, like if you're at $50 for a cup that's worth $100, and you give that to a gallery and you say it's $50 and you get $25 back and you're upset about it, then maybe you need to be at $100.
The one thing I have an issue with in terms of like raising your price to give it to a gallery is that you're expecting the gallery to be able to sell it for more than you could sell it for.
No. That's across the board.
Okay.
Is across the board. Like if you're realizing that like your prices are too low that to give to a gallery, then that means that all of your prices need to be higher so that when you give it to the
I get it now.
You need to be able to decide if you can give the pot. If you can't even give the pot and still make money on it when it sells, then you're probably not pricing it right. Or maybe you can't even sell in that avenue.
Right.
Make it worth it.
When you're starting to figure out your pricing, at least for wholesale, what we said, like what I would say, and Rebecca, my boss, Rebecca Graves would say is figure out your price for wholesale first and then move to retail, and that's your retail price. Because if you figure out your retail price and then you're like, oh shit, I have to sell at wholesale, that's no good. You got to go down. You got to go to your base price and then up,
I never really did wholesale. I was too greedy.
Yeah,
that's all my money.
You have fancy pots, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fancy pots. They weren't always fancy. I just always got all the money.
I also think the wood firing aspect adds a level of risk that you can't.
You can't wholesale. I don't think you can wholesale wood fire pots, because if they were like, well, I want that pot next year, I'd be like, nope.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Lightning in a bottle twice.
Okay, so here's my question. What's your blunt answer to, I remember when I was in Monroe, Washington, which is a tiny town, and most of my business was community-based. So I felt like the community wouldn't pay a certain amount for my pieces. How would you approach that?
Yeah, I can imagine a community can't or won't.
Yeah.
But we live in the internet times, and this little magic box in front of me puts pots in front of anybody else that has a computer, and I think pricing locally isn't the best way to make a happy living. As if, let's say, I'm trying to sell to my neighbors. I'm in a depressed, beyond blue collar. What's darker than blue collar? Brown. I'm in brown collar central New York. That if I pulled out a $200 mug and said, "Hey guys, this is my mug for sale," I would probably I would alienate my neighbors that I like very much. That it's just they're not my market. They're not.
Right.
They aren't. These people aren't the people that are going to be buying my work. And with a few clicky poos of a button operator on the Facebooky things, you can sell your pots to anybody in the world. It's not a stretch.
You can sell your pots to anybody.
And then when you do sell them, like, you're gonna benefit the economy of your local area because you're paying income taxes to them and all that good stuff. That
buying eggs.
Also, yeah, your local economy. I just think it seems like it just makes more sense to live somewhere that's more affordable to live. With the internet now, you can sell it wherever. You don't have to live in New York City to sell pottery. Like, for one, having enough space to make it and then the resources to make it for a decent price without killing yourself to keep up with your bills.
Big city pottery might not be the best solution financially. Don't tell big city pottery people that, though. They might get all sad.
I'm sure they're willing to pay you more for, like, hopefully they're bringing you in for workshops and more willing to pay for it because cost of living's higher. So maybe they have customers that are willing to pay that price for.
I never really got to big city.
I live in a big city and nobody is willing to pay anything.
I mean, you're in Indianapolis. That's way different than New York City or San Francisco.
I guess, but from my experience living in a state that is outrageously expensive, like Washington is outrageously expensive, and which I imagine like the lower half of New York is like that. You're paying so much money for your rent that you don't want to pay any more money for anything else. Like, unless you're part of the 1% that makes a shit ton of money. But, like, I would expect more money from somebody like you who pays a little bit of money to pay his mortgage and gets a fairly good salary than somebody who is barely fucking making it because they were like, I want to live in New York City. Like,
wages are different in New York City too. That if they're living in New York City and it's not a potter, like the people in New York City are making a different wage than Central New York. Like that's
true.
But if you're selling online, like Ryan said, like if you're selling online, then you're not in the local economy in New York. You're just paying the housing rate at New York City prices and getting the income of whatever you could have had no matter where you lived.
Yeah, but I would also argue to the point of, not that I agree with this argument, but I know a lot of people would, that, like, you have to start somewhere. Like, a lot of people don't get famous online, and like, the more they sell and the more they try, it still doesn't work online for them. But, they could go to a show locally and make the money that they wouldn't make online, which poses an interesting conundrum.
Like, how do you go from making basic bitch pots at a show that you sell for $25 for a mug and then try to sell it online? It's crickets, because you could buy $25 mugs online anywhere.
Yeah.
And, like,
you're competing against 10,000 other people making the same.
Yeah.
Right. You're on the Etsy market as opposed to the only potter in town market.
Well, that goes back to community. You can build communities online. There may not be local communities, but there's still, internet communities.
And it depends on whether you want to sell to a potter or you want to sell to a end user that knows nothing about pottery but appreciates it.
Well, like I'm in a few coffee groups, because I make mugs, and so like the coffee group, everybody that drinks coffee drinks it out of a mug pretty much. So there are some groups that I don't really post a lot of stuff in, but there's some that I'll share mugs and mugs of the week kind of things. There are people that do bonsai pots, and they're joining the bonsai groups. If you've got a niche or you enjoy making a thing, or that's your thing in general, like I like coffee, so I join a coffee group and I can speak that language and I can fit in. And, do I have a whole bunch of people that are buying my work from that coffee group? No, because I'm not grinding it. I'm not like, I'm only here to sell pots to people in the coffee group. But, there are a lot of instances in which, your daily life, you could be in a Facebook group for things that you enjoy and be turning that into crockery sales.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah.
I just realized something that's kind of crazy. Not crazy. It's not crazy. I used to sell on Facebook all the time because it was like a community building system, right? And a lot of people sell on Instagram, and there's definitely most people sell on Instagram right now, I feel like. And it's interesting how you're talking about like the community building, because it's really hard to build a community on Instagram.
Yeah.
There's no groups, as you will,
Yep.
like there are on Facebook. And so
Yes.
I feel like I almost need to go back to I almost want to go back to Facebook after this conversation, because like even though we have such a good community, like we have a great community on Instagram just because we have pages that people follow, but it is so much easier to build that community that will eventually buy on Facebook.
The mechanisms of engagement vary tremendously between Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
Between groups, even just being able to share a photo,
Yeah.
And Instagram, if somebody comes up and asks a question, I can't share a link, I can't share a photo, I can't share a video in response to their question.
Yeah.
And that's really inhibiting to participating the same way as I can in Facebook. In Facebook, if somebody has, why is my clay ripping off? I can share a little video. I can make the video right then and share it with them, and not have to like make another post or a reel or a story to get that information to them. It's right there in context, in chronological order, where it makes sense. The Instagram. I never really. I participate in Instagram because I do enjoy making photos and little things I can put music to. Like it's a butterfly, wee. But I don't nearly use it to build community as I do Facebook. It's just two different animals, and I treat them like different animals. It's just like I'm not going to pet a kitty the same way I pet a doggy. That's two different kinds of pets.
Mm-hmm.
Little scrubby on one, little poofies on the other.
Mm-hmm. It's like Instagram. It's very like superficial, like high level.
Linear.
It's not. What'd you say?
It's linear.
I don't know if that's what I was thinking, but it's very short. It's not very deep interaction, like you're saying. You can actually
Their surface,
and it actually makes sense, and the links and all that stuff.
I don't think I have any friends that I've met through Instagram.
We met through Instagram.
You too?
But it was mostly through Instagram Lives, though.
Ryan courted me.
Hey Becca, I heard about your triangles. I'm on that game.
It was pre-triangles.
It was pre-triangles.
Pre-triangles.
Was it pre-triangles?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was like pinch pot, thrown off the hump, shitty pot.
That was back when I was grinding for $0, which I still kind of am, but.
But you feel better about
it's
it.
grinding for $0 though.
Yeah, but I was like knee deep in debt, like knee deep in depression, and and all the things.
Have you found that clay community can get through those kind of mental health, depression-y kind of things?
Oh my God. If I hadn't had clay buddies in that time when I was starting the store, I don't think that it would have happened.
Yeah.
I just like having those people, and I left clay buddies for a while just because it gets a lot. Like it can be a lot, especially if you are a voice that is a little bit higher than most people, or not higher, but like louder. If you're a voice that's louder than most people. But yeah, definitely like even Ryan, it's a very small community of 2, but when we started, I would be like struggling one day and he'd be like, "Hey, let's get on a live." so that you get your pots done, and like things like that really have gotten me to this point. And even the community in Monroe where I started doing stuff like that it's still like moving. Like when I sell pots online, most of it's from Washington, like that community. And that was still a Facebook community, like really prominently. And, but it's true. I mean, like, yeah, I think that leaving for a long time, I'm just now ready to come back. It was almost like that break needed to happen.
Yeah, and I get that too. I mean, there are weeks where there's extra drama, and it's just like I just want the drama to go away, and the only way to get it to go away is to not participate. Yeah. But I last about an hour. I last one sleepy poo, and then I'm like, okay, I'm ready to help people again. Because I can't let someone else's drama affect me. I don't want it to affect me as much as it can.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much do you think the community of having other people around you that can see how you're doing and like progressing pushes you to want to like show up for them and like have a good business and like have good pots and all that for other people to like see that you're still doing it, and like it might motivate them as well to say like, okay, I'm going to still go, like they're still cranking it out, they're still working hard.
This is going to be kind of a weird, I might be bummery sort of answer. It wasn't that long ago that somebody in Clay Buddies had, talked about, like what it takes to be like Instagram famous. And, my initial response is, hard work. You gotta show up. You gotta post the videos and everything. And, someone had responded in a sort of, it was in a cynical way, like, oh, well, you're white male, your middle class family helped you out in the beginning and blah, blah, blah. And it went on a little bit. And I took, that initial immediate response of, heckles go up like, you don't know me, blah, 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 blah. And, but I didn't freak out. I sat back and I listened and I watched that person interact with other people and I tried to absorb, and it went a couple of days. And I went back and I reread the whole thing again. And, it came down to, it's a lot of luck. And you can be doing the grind and you can be doing all that. And the mechanisms of Facebook and Instagram make it so that a few people succeed, but drag along the hundreds of thousands of other people thinking that they're also going to succeed.
Right.
And that is what drives their business. That's what makes Instagram and Facebook is that, these influencers will make it seem like anybody could be an influencer as well. That all you have to do is work hard and make videos and it's going to happen. But it's those working hard and making videos that are just putting more money into Instagram and Facebook's pockets. Right. I think at that point was when Reels started to pay money. Like you could get money when Reels got paid. And I think that first season, I might have made, $1,700 on Reels. And I thought, this is great. They're paying me to make videos, but really what they were doing was paying me to make it look like it's a viable option so that more people do it, so they make more content. And
Instagram longer so they can serve ads more.
Yeah.
So they're paying you a penny so they can make $1 or whatever.
So it is a sort of a bummer answer. It's a sort of a bummer answer that,
Even if it's like the small community though, even if it's like I post because I know like Heidi's gonna see it and like Tara at Pitch Pine and Becca's gonna see it and like other people that I care about that are like other potters that I follow that I'm like I like to see their progress and like they're stepping it up and selling their pots and getting this work out, that like that's also part of what makes it more important for me to like post than just all these random strangers that like it.
Yeah.
As well.
And prior to that conversation that I probably have internalized too much, that it was much like that. Yeah, like me sharing meant, it's gonna, people can see where I am and, that I'm doing great, that things are this and that they can do it. But after that conversation, it's like every time that I show I am doing good, I am influencing somebody else to post thinking that they're going to be doing good if they do what I did. And it might not be as healthy as it could be. And I may need to, again, step back, reevaluate, and, look at it again. But I think it was definitely jarring to see it in that light and accept it again. I could have easily just, done the little pottery double fingers and, blocked her and never paid attention to it at all. But, it's usually the harder things to listen to are the things that are going to make the biggest difference.
Yeah.
And, I realized it when she said it, that this was a thing that I probably needed to come back to. And so I haven't gone all the way through into the point where, I've rectified that in Mr. Brainy Poo up here and dealt with it in a way that I can go back to posting the way I was. Typically in the summer, I've set, goals for myself to post every day on Instagram. And in doing that, it kept me in the studio every day. And with workshops this summer, which took, I can't math, but it was a lot of the days that I would have normally been posting. I just didn't have the opportunity to. So I'm out of the groove. And but maybe this conversation is going to be like, yeah, maybe people do miss the Tim and what Tim does and all the boops and things that he does while he does the things and stuff.
I think
Word salad.
that it's interesting because I when people walk into my booth, especially younger generation people, and they say, "Wow, it's so amazing that you get to do this," and always my response is, "Yeah, it's a lot of work." Like, I spare no. I'm just like, lots of work. It's not easy. And I'm like such a Debbie Downer, like right off the bat, because I do feel like people glorify the position that you're in and think that it is so easy to get there. And it's not.
Even just making a booth sucks.
Yeah.
How many months of suck is that?
Yeah. Trial and error and
How many fucking booth generations have I had? Holy shit. Oh, can you tell us I really like that story that you had about the little coins. Didn't you make coins?
feedback coins.
Shows. Can you tell that story?
Yeah. Well, I'll go all the way to the reason why they existed. So,
Good.
Doing shows and everything, you've had the B-backs. Well, I just started the show. I like this
First
piece.
thread. Yeah.
And at the time, I had done probably 5 years of shows. And I had a good show at one point in the summer. At the same time, the Smithsonian Craft Show had the applications opened up. And on a whim, I just applied to the Smithsonian show, not paying attention at all what that meant, just knowing that it's a super fancy show, and I think I'm super fancy. So I applied to the show, and it was at a wood firing, and I checked my phone, and I'd gotten in, and I didn't really understand what that meant. And I just kind of sort of ignored it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And later on, I looked it up, and it's like, oh, man, it's a $1,500 booth fee. The booth that I had right now isn't going to work. I'm going to have to build a whole new booth. So I spent that 6-8 months, whatever it was, making pots for the show, building a new booth, and buying all the weird marketing books I could. What's going to be different about the Smithsonian show that, is going to make it worth me doing. So I got all these books, and, I was dealing, I made a list of what are the things I want to deal with, at a show. What's really frustrating? Made the list. What, how can I make more money? Made the list. What do I hate what I see other people doing? What's making me jealous as heck? And I made a big old list of things. And, we were brainstorming. I forgot what we were eating, but it was tasty. And I remember putting my fork down and going, ha ha ha! Got it. And, I was like, well, I'm going to make coins. What do you mean make a coin? I'm going to make a thing that's worth money in my booth that they can't spend anywhere else. She's like, what? Like, why would you do that? I'm like, it's like a coupon. Like, it's like a coupon that, like, how often do you buy something because you have a coupon? And she's like, fair enough.
Yeah.
With 40 boxes of toaster strudels, like, okay, we get this idea. So I said, okay, we got to have a BBAC coin. And I made different price points of the BBAC coin. So, like, if somebody came in and we're looking at mugs, I'd give them a low price BBAC coin. If they're looking at oil cans, I'd give them a bigger BBAC coin. And I thought, okay, let's make this worse or better, I guess, depending on your viewpoint on this. I said, I'm going to put them in bags. So I'm going to make, my, the regular mug size bag. I'm going to put a bottle of water in it. I'm going to put my business cards in it. I'm going to put my booth space number in it. I'm going to put my name on the outside as big as I can print it. And on the other side, put a postcard that I stapled to the outside of the other side. And at the beginning of the Smithsonian show, people were coming in, and I was giving everybody that came into my booth a bag and a BBAC coin. It didn't matter if they wanted a thing or not. I gave them it. And I had chocolate in it, too.
Advertising. Well,
and so I'm walking around the show with this bag that says Tim C as big as I can print it. It looks like it has a mug in it because it's got the bottle of water. And people are coming back to my booth going, what are you selling? And I'm like, I'm killing it with these mugs over here. I'm just buying them. But what had ended up happening is, of those coins that I gave back at the Smithsonian show, I got 50% of them back. Because I put it right in their hand and I said, it's only worth, money in my booth kind of thing. Come back, buy a piece.
Today.
So that wasn't like the greatest return on my coins. 50% wasn't great, but the coins weren't hard to make and everything. But it was really fun to use all the little weird, crazy marketing things all in one like swoop. And I've done that since. Like if there's a gated show, like where they've got a gate, you can't come in until 9:00. I'll have a big old sack of bags and BBAC coins and everything, and I'll go down through the whole people waiting in line. I'll be like, might you buy pots today? And if they say yes, I'm giving them a BBAC coin. I'm giving them the bag. I'm showing them.
What are you pulling, a fucking wagon behind you with
the yeah. Like a Santa sack. I'm like, ho, 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 ho. Sometimes it's just the coin, but if it's a fancier show, I'll bring the whole thing. So even before anybody has come into the show, they've already got a Tim C bag. And I know the other vendors. I know how the other vendors feel because I've been that person. Like, why are there so many of these person's bags? And it's because I'm giving them away for free. And there's nothing in them.
I was just picturing how much space it took up to like pack all of these things, and I'm like, that makes no logical sense to like spend all that time to prep all those. But you said 50% bring back, so like maybe it is worth it.
Well, that was 50% when I just gave them away to everybody. Doing normal shows where I'm not like being a jerk face poopy pants. If somebody had come into my booth and showed general interest, I usually got about an 80% return rate on the coins.
Wow. Okay.
So like if somebody was walking out of my booth, I made 80% of those people come back.
And those were just the coin, not the bag and all that?
Just the coin, yeah.
Yeah, so, and there's actually, there's scientific research on if you give somebody a BBAC thing, usually it's like a business card or a coupon, but the coin is a physical, and you talked about it, like, they have it in their pocket, and they're feeling it.
Yeah, it's a fancy. Usually has gold luster on it. It's got the dollar amount on it. And I don't put it in a bag when I give it to them personally. I put it in their hand. You make that eye contact.
Yeah.
You tell me that you can only spend it here. You remind them of the piece they were looking at, kind of thing.
Are they smooth? I know you don't do shows anymore, but are they like smooth?
Yeah.
The coins?
He's got something. He's searching.
Well, where are my coins at? Yeah, they're smooth. And I still do coins. I just don't do them as BBAC coins anymore.
Right.
I do them as tokens of appreciation. So, like, if I do a workshop and, 2 people help me clean up, now I've got a little thing I can give them as a thank you. Like, when I go to NCECA and people have tradesies, I usually have a pocket full of coins to give as tradesies.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm totally gonna steal that idea, by the way. But
Okay.
I love that idea for shows, but
well,
what's
because
the, go ahead.
okay, I was thinking about it, and like, so I'm selling earrings now, and I have this thing with I have a thing with like tactile things, like they have to be like smooth things are really that's it, you know? Like that's it for me.
Have you felt my bottoms?
Oh, I have a mug that can beat your bottoms. It's fine. Um like my cups are sanded all the way up the side and there's no glaze on them, so they like are super fucking smooth. And anyway, but for the earrings I put them in a rock tumbler, and so I think I'm going to do coins and throw them in the rock tumbler so that they can get like super smooth, and then I'll put some like underglazed dots on them or something so that they are textured so that people can use them also as worry stones in their pockets.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So somebody's about to walk away from the booth. What's the quick? Give them the coin. What is that quick?
You want the conversation?
Yeah,
So,
Tim. Oh my God, I love this. I think I'm gonna be back.
I'm doing my first
absolutely-
round.
This is going to get rough because I did more than just give back. I did more than give a coin. In the whole marketing strategy stuff, I also got into NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. And neuro-linguistic programming is a way to interact with another human being to manipulate them in a way to get them to do the things you want them to do.
I love this.
And in terms of sales, it can be really effective, but it can also be really gross. So there's a balancy, fine line of doing it to make a living and doing it to be a weirdo sleazebag, hypnotist in selling things. And it's really hard to practice to the point where you become a sleazeball hypnotist, but it's possible. And don't go that far, Ryan. Don't go that far, okay? But part of the BBAC coin was using that NLP stuff. And okay, so normally it takes me like about a month of practice to get back into it, but I've talked about it a couple times this summer with workshop people. But you get close enough to the person that they can hear you. You match their body language. If they're slumping, you're slumping. If their speech is quick, your speech is quick. And then you slowly start talking quieter and quieter so that they're having to listen harder and pay more attention. And then when you have all of their attention, you tell them what you want them to do. So when it got to that point, it might be, and you're also trying to learn as much about them as you can while they're in your booth. So you're learning about, where they work, where their husband or wife works, what their kids do, what their favorite things are, if they're buying it for something, what their interests are. And then, you get down to the end of the conversation, they're like, okay, well, we just got here, we'll be back. And, and you go, well, just before you leave, make sure you remember which pot it is, and you put the pot back in their hand, and you go, if you, I know you're just at the beginning of the show, but, I know you're going to, and you only use positive language, you get to this point, and, I know you love the piece. I know the person that you're going to give this to is going to love the piece, and I really want you to have it. So I'm going to give you a coin. The coin is worth $10. It's only good, in my booth. And if you don't come back, it's yours. You just keep the coin. But here it is, and you give it to them. You touch their hand. You anchor them a little bit, and you say, I know it's the beginning of the day, but really, I really want you to come back. Here it is, and you give them the coin, and most of the time they get a couple booths away, and then they're back. But sometimes it's at the end of the day, and I also use coins in the bag itself. So let's say somebody does buy a mug, I'll give them another coin. They may not have used a coin, they may not have gotten one earlier that day, but I'll give them a coin as a return customer, because it's a lot easier to sell somebody a second thing than it is to sell them the first thing. So if you can get them to come back, and a reason to come back, like a coin, then it was, another sale down the road from that.
Do you tell them that you're putting a coin in their bag when they buy something? Okay.
Yeah. They're wrapping it up. And again, I'm not putting it in the bag. I'm actually giving it to them. I'm like, okay, you bought something. You're like a mini collector now. Here's a coin. Next time you see me, you can't use it today. It's got to be next time. The next time you see me, and I'll, give them the list of the shows that I'm going to be at for this year. If you catch me at another show, you can turn this in for a piece. And sometimes people would like get that discount and then, can I keep the coin? I was like, sure, but only if you use it again next time. Those kind of things, so that they're a return customer, that you can kind of build that local following. It just wasn't enough for me to deal, with the numbers and volumes that I wanted to. Dealing with weather was not my jam anymore.
And it sounds like those smaller number of interactions and having that better conversion rate, I guess, is probably more realistic than throwing a coin their way with a short, not very personal.
Oh yeah, that was the Smithsonian thing was more of a street cred sort of thing. I was the youngest person at the show. It's usually mid to late career people, and I got in when I was late 20s, early 30s, and I shouldn't have been at the show. It was a bad thing. So I was doing everything to kind of like save a little face. Like at the end of the show, Saturday, there was still Sunday to go. Saturday morning, there were people in my booth, because I was the cool kid, right? They always wanted to hang out with Tim C. They were in the booth and they were talking numbers, and it was jewelers and fabric people. They were doing like $120,000 in sales.
Holy shit!
Both kitty cats showed up at the same time. That's weird.
Like they knew.
Hello. Oh, this is the crazy cat.
This is Lloyd. Yeah, I had a harness on him during the whole thing because I figured it would settle him down, but I took it off.
And now he just got stronger.
Well, I'm trying to harness train him for when I live in the van.
Oh, so that it was. I did not do what those other people did, and
What'd you do?
I did $8,000 for that week.
Okay.
That still sounds crazy. That sounds amazing.
Well, in terms of the cost of doing it, and
the $1,500
day, it was like a 5-day long show. So
you need to make like almost $20,000 to make that even make sense.
But at the time, it had been the best show that I did. But when I looked at it like sales per day, it was a normal show. It was a normal show for me, and that's because I was selling crunchy, ugly pots, and it was fancy women buying jewelry and pretty things. Yeah. It wasn't my market. But I got to say I did the Smithsonian show, so it's like.
Look, Ryan, you've done fucking $6,000 at a show that cost $200.
Yeah.
I just did a show this weekend. It was probably like maybe $350 to do it. I sold it a little over what did I tell you? I think 4,500, 5,000, something like that.
Yeah, so, I swear to God, he's like some show magic man. Like
I think it's the small items that add up. Like I was telling Becca, like I sold out of all these soup bowls that were like brand new, but they were priced too low, like you were talking about. Like I sold 18 of them at $30, but it's like hard for me to legitimize taking a bowl that costs $26, adding a handle to it, and not charging more than like $4 to $5 more.
I didn't even know these were like handled soup mugs. Like he's like, oh, I charge $30. Like those should be $45 fucking dollars. Like it's basically a mug, and on top of that, it's a wide bowl, so you have so much more like reality of it bending into an oval than a bowl.
And kiln space, and you can't stack it.
Space, and it's got a fucking handle on it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna price it at $35, and we'll see how they go.
I think you should price it at $45.
45? No
Coward,
way.
go 50.
$50.
Double it.
It's so weird with the prices of like something that's like a mug that's less clay, but it can sell for way more than something that's like more clay, but it's, I don't know.
We're not buying stuff by the pound.
Yeah.
Dude, I sell earrings for $40. They're this much clay. I'm like one of those people that like preaches things and just I never fucking follow anything that I preach. I'm like
I used to see anything that I preach I followed at one point. I just may not follow it anymore.
Yeah, that's good. I'll say
the moment.
So do you what do you think like elevates you from like where I'm at with the sale of that show to like an $8,000 show? Is it the price of the item, like having the items that are fancier, getting more return customers, or like the be back thing that's going to give you a better conversion? Like what are some factors that would help?
I would say my better daily show rate was only like I think my best, like if I looked at the average of Saturday, Sunday of a 2-day show, I think my best day would have been a $2,800 day. So I don't know if I did more than flipping through the Rolodex of good shows. I would say a good show for me would have been $3,000. A great show would have been, $4,000. And if I had done, I probably only did 8 or 9 shows that were over $5,000. So I didn't. I mean, granted, that was 8 years ago, really, or 6 years ago that I was, doing shows like that.
And you were doing the fancy shows, you were doing fancy shows?
I was doing the
art shows, not
arts and crafts shows,
Okay.
Not all of them were Smithsonian shows, but, I didn't find that it was effort stuff too. So that's the balance kind of thing. Like I might have been able to sell more, but I didn't want to drive my body into the ground doing it.
Yeah.
Does that make, so
Yeah.
like if I went a different route.
Yeah. Hey, it is okay to be operating at 70%. And I actually approve of 70 to 60% operation. Well, it's just like your fucking kiln. Like you can't work at 100%.
You can't find the cone
work
10
100%.
every day.
Yeah, it's like fire at slow speed, fire to cone 6 on a cone 10 kiln. Like, come on, guys. Why would we expect us to work any harder than that?
That's a good point.
Every machine has a max.
I'm not the machine.
And we are not even machines. Like, why would you expect somebody to operate at 100% when you expect zero technology to operate at 100%?
Except for boat motors.
Yeah.
Boat motors.
They're redlined 100% of the time. There's no 80% on a boat motor.
Wow.
I didn't know that. I mean, I don't know anything about
Is that
it.
because they're in water, so they're like naturally cooling?
I don't know. I just know that it's full throttle or no throttle. Let's go.
Well, kilns are technically full throttle too, but they're full throttle with a clicking on off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. And I would suspect coming back to the same show would help you get those like the people that come every year are going to be more likely to make your show better the second year than the first year if some of the rest of the variables are the same.
Yeah. That's the goal, is a return buyer is better than a new buyer. So it's always big getting those returns. Like I wasn't great with the email list, but I did it. No, Becca's like, no.
Yeah. I find it hard to like see what value I'm providing by sending an email out. Like, what value am I giving them?
So for me, it was letting them know that I was going to be there, reminding them that show was happening. And, if it was just 2 or 3 people that showed up because of that, it was worth me just doing a mail merge, like pushing out a thing. It wasn't hard. And I usually would have people sign up for the mailing list while I'm wrapping their pot. I'm taking their pot. They're taking my little sign-in sheet. They're just filling it out. And when I get home, part of, that home stuff was counting all the money, putting it in a big dragon pile, and then putting my email list on the internet.
I sent out an email a while ago just because of the shop that I had. My email list is hefty, unintentionally hefty. And I sent out an email basically saying, I can't remember what I said, but at the end I was like, just so you know, get out now. Get out now if you need to, because I might make more of these.
Another sneaky thing you can do is copy other people's email lists. Not that I've ever done it, but I totally have. Like if they've got their email list out, just a quick doop doop with the phony poo, and you can collect everybody on their first sheet there. Or if you flip other sheets, you can
Oh
get
my
more.
gosh! Don't do that.
Damn.
Don't do that.
It's every artist for themselves. The smart must survive.
I mean, I still think there's value in a paper mailing list sign up though. Like that's a little easy compared to like asking them at checkout. I turned that feature off.
Oh, I don't. This was back when there wasn't like a square like this.
Yeah.
This is back when you're going.
We didn't have a knuckle buster, but what did I use? Oh, I had a credit card machine.
Okay.
I paid like $400 a year to have a credit card machine.
Of course you did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Diggity, 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 diggity.
Oh my gosh. I'm curious. One more thing about the show thing. Is there?
I'm here all night, Ryan. Let's go.
Okay. Is there? So since COVID, I've been sitting at my booth where it's an outside L instead of an inside U or inside L where I'm behind the tables, and everybody comes into the booth. So I pretty much keep it on the exterior so people can circle, they can see it from multiple angles, and they don't have to come into the physical booth. Do you think that is a benefit? I can see a drawback is in I'm not as physically close to them because I can't you were talking about the whole talking to them. Like there's a table between us.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I guess it depends a little bit on how you sell, what you sell, and how much space you have. Typically if I was able to get an outside L, that meant I had a corner. And if I've got a corner and I've I've massaged the people that run the show enough that they'll let me do what I want to do, I would say being nice to the show promoter is the most important thing about doing shows, because
absolutely,
if you're nice to them, you can do anything you want. If you're the one person that's like the smiley, happy person every morning, and the rest of the people are jerk-faced poopy pantses, if you want to take that L and turn it into 3 booth spaces, and there's room to do it, they're like, sure.
Yeah.
I used to bring 2 booth spaces worth of stuff to every show, no matter if I had a single. Actually, they were always singles, and I always turned them into doubles just by stretching my space out, asking permission, and stretching my space out. So I had, in terms of linear space, in terms of display, I had 3 8-foot sections of wall that had a cabinet on the bottom and room for 3 shelves on it. And each one could hold, let's see, 6 times 3 is 18.
Yes.
18, and then 18 plus, let's say, 20 is, I could put 38 mugs on a shelf unit if we were just talking mug spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't crowded. That was a nice, loose, easily seen. And so I could do that times 8. So 38 times 8 is beep, boop, a lot of pots in a two booth space kind
over
of thing.
300 pots, yeah.
Right. So that it wasn't like it was tight. That was like a manageable, loose mug spaces worth, let's say 300 mug spaces worth of pots. And I could fit that if I was on an island, meaning I had 3 open sides, which if I could do, I'd like to do too, because I could put all my booth space facing out, and I would just be outside talking with people. I wouldn't be in my booth at all. I'd be outside of the booth.
Right.
And then if I had a 10 by 20 space, I would make it so that it was a big U, so there was a lot of open space that I could entertain multiple groups of people at the same time.
Yeah. I'm seeing, at least in the last couple of years, they have been giving more space between booths. I don't know if that's because there's fewer people selling at the show, or if they just tend to space people out because they were like, hey, we started doing this in 2021, 2020 when we did have shows, so we're just going to keep that layout and give people 5 feet between booths instead of right on top of each other like they used to.
There should always be at least 3 feet between each booth. That's my opinion. But
no, I hated that because the little kids would run between booths, and you'd have the little booth turds running back and forth, knocking over pots.
Really?
I used to put up like a blockade, like a spiky, poison ivy laden wall, so the kids couldn't run between my booth.
Yeah.
Is that bad? You didn't.
I've been doing that, and I feel like it's good. Like, I just stay under the booth. They can approach. I mean, the only negative is if it's bad weather, they can't get under a physical tent necessarily. But I'll move them in a little bit so they can be.
If it's shitty weather, does it matter anyways?
no.
Really.
How many people are showing up? It's you might as well just bring some snacks.
I would like to also interject and say that Ryan, you're like a fucking like show magician. Like I've never.
I don't even do anything that crazy. I just talk to people.
I don't
Hey,
know.
that is a magician sometimes.
I don't know. I'm like I would like to see the type of. I would like to talk to anybody else that goes into a fucking show selling basic bitch pots and pulls out $6,000 at a show that was 2.5 days. Like, no. I'm sorry. I don't know anybody else that can do that.
You can do that.
Yeah, there are people that's the thing.
I can't do that.
Maybe not to do it on the side.
It's not about so much doing it at the show. It's about keeping the inventory up, making the pots to keep the booth full.
There is that.
I mean, that's the magician-y part. If you can do 10 shows, 12 shows a year and keep them full and be able to do that, that's the.
How many shows do you do?
Like 15 or 20.
And you're jamming that many pots out each show.
I'm not selling 6,000 at a show. I mean, there's some shows that I'll sell at that'll cost $50 and I'll still sell about 1,000.
Yeah.
But
okay.
So. Yeah, I mean, I'll still sell, a good cross section of pots. But other ones, there's just way more audience, and I might sell 60 spoon rests at a show, and 15 bottles or 18 soup bowls, and like make $4,000, $5,000.
Now, when you count that, making that money, how much are you weighing the
travel and expenses and lodging and all that?
Those are all like the things. I'm talking like clay and glaze and body. Time. How heavy are you weighing that in terms of your equation on making that amount of money?
I mostly factor the pricing based on supply and demand. So if things are selling and I can't keep up with them, usually it's a yearly exercise to bump up prices. I'm not like, I'll bump up mugs a couple bucks at the end of the year probably, or the soup bowls. It's an experiment. So like they all sold out. So I'll bump them up in the next show because I literally don't have but like 8.
The answer is he's working way too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I work a lot. I put shows on the calendar.
Yeah.
when I've sold at a show and I'm like, okay, I can probably pull down $1,000 at this show. Like, I'll do the show if it fits in my calendar, and I'll like make it work. But yeah, it's probably negative. Like, my body's not going to maintain that. But I think at a point I'm going to decide like which shows are not worth doing. Like, I'll turn away the $1,000 for 5 shows that I'll do. I'm not going to only do 5 shows, but maybe there'll be 5 shows in a year that I can pull down 5,000 or 6,000 at those 5 shows.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll have the other ones that are like $1,500 shows that I'll do.
Do you have another job? Is that what I caught? What's your other job?
I'm a website developer.
Yay.
I'll have a nice salary for that.
Boop, boop, doops.
And it's flexible with my doing pottery stuff, and I could be like, hey, I need to go to a show on Friday and pack for the show, and they'll be like, all right, take a half day or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And it works.
So when are you going to be done with that?
When I'm confident enough to make the jump, but I'm totally paranoid that like I'm going to make the jump and then there's going to be a huge recession. I'm going to regret it because I'm not going to make as much money in pottery as what I think I would if I had more time, but like, I don't know that I would realistically make more pots when I had more, like, when I'm not doing the 9 to 5. I think I just adjust to make it work because that's the only time I have available to make it work.
Yep. I get
that. And I don't think it's realistic to expect that I'm going to 1-to-1 match the salary. But I think the years of customer base and like the shows that I've done has been experimental to figure out what works and what's worth it, what's not worth it. And I'm not going through those experiments on the fly.
How many years have you been doing shows?
Since 2016.
I didn't ask for a math problem.
Oh.
That would be 7 years?
7 years?
Yeah.
Wait.
6 years.
6 years.
6 years? I can't math, Ryan.
Yeah. I think I just counted the shows out. It's like I sold it a little over 110 shows. Not different shows, but like total.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And that's the majority. That's where I make most of my income is show. Like more than 50% of my income is from shows, and I like doing that because it's easier to do. But I also have stuff in consignment and wholesale a little bit.
50% of your income from pottery comes from shows, or 50% of your
50% of pottery sales comes from shows. Yeah.
Well, then you're doing pretty good.
And they're not like fancy art shows either. Like he's doing like
They're like craft shows, but also
craft shows.
some like art shows that might cost like the most I've spent for a booth is probably like $350 for a booth for a weekend show.
I mean, I think one of my best shows, I was set up next to a bunch of fudge and dolls, and the rest of the spaces looked like a bomb went off because nobody showed up because it was like a $10 show. I mean, it was really bad, but that was like one of my best shows because nobody else was there.
Yeah.
Like, came like I want to buy things, and it's like there's fudge and there's doll clothes, and there's somebody with like a bright yellow booth that everything looked like crap inside, and then there's Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All these little fudgy fingers all over the place.
See, and I got kind of like we have very different like show histories. Like he kind of like, as per the norm, he is very good and consistent on his way like up. You know, he keeps a nice elevator.
Things are growing.
Yeah, and I like got not shoved, but my like consistent show was a double booth every weekend.
Committing for the whole May through October, slinging pots between that and 4 days every single weekend. And so like, and there's no strategy. There's like staying afloat, surviving.
Yeah, there's staying afloat. And then also like I can make a fucking bomb ass like booth setup, don't get me wrong, but like it wasn't a steady growth, so I don't feel like I learned a lot through that. It was like, you better be good now, you know. And so I'm kind of like having to almost relearn the show system because I'm now in shows that are like,
you're in a completely different market too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm in a completely different market where actually people like pottery. Like, yeah, I fucking suck at shows. I am fully able to say that.
Well, you gotta want to, and if you don't want to, you just find another market.
Oh yeah, and I'm like, but I'm getting better at it. I like it. It's just that I have to get better at it, and also it's just been a whole learning experience in the last couple of years. But yeah, I think Ryan, like, I respect the hell out of Ryan for the way that he does shows. It's phenomenal, in my opinion.
Yay, Ryan!
I don't feel like I do anything that fancy.
You do a lot more than you think.
I mean, I constantly say this to the background. I'm like, I feel like I need to like upgrade the booth or something because it's literally just 2 tables and like shelves. I guess it's like an eye for like how to organize the stuff so it's not overwhelming, but there's not too many things. I don't know.
It's mostly talking to people.
Yeah.
That do sucky at shows and are always grumpy are the people in the back of the booth doing a crossword puzzle and never engaging anybody.
Yeah, like you have to stand up when somebody comes in, or you have to like, if you are sitting down, you have to stand up. Like you have to like be eye to eye contact and alert and like.
I mean, easy things are like, don't wear sunglasses. Like have a chair that's elevated like a director's chair so you're not standing up.
Yeah.
Or you're already standing up.
They aren't hard things. It's just things you actually have to do.
But you have to be consistent with it too. Like you can't wear your emotions on your sleeve as well. Like
there's no crying in the pottery booth.
No crying.
Yeah.
There's no crying in the pottery booth.
Unless everything breaks, you get a pass.
I don't know. I feel like you definitely have to be like mentally in the like ready. Like I kind of like, you know, I like play the same tunes on the way to the show every show. So I'm like, okay, I get my tea, get the tunes going. So it's like, okay, I know what I'm going into, and I'm like mentally getting ready for the drain of people that I'm going to talk to for the next day. And you know,
do you find you have a threshold Like, what happens when you reach your threshold for the day?
Like just talking to people threshold? I don't feel like I have that because I
Yes,
work from
yeah.
home and I don't talk to anybody besides my wife normally on a daily basis. So, I mean, interaction through Instagram and stuff, but that's kind of as I choose to interact.
I think it energizes him. I also feel like, I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like you kind of get like energy out of it too, like talking to people.
I think the sales help.
Yeah, the sales
Yeah.
help.
Like Rachel and I will cheer a little. She'll like put her hand out. We'll like high five when we get like a good sale. So it's like we're like cheering each other like when we like know it's been a good sale, and you don't have to like do too much. Sometimes they're just come in and they're like take 2 bowls and they're like, all right, I want these 2, and you're like, all right,
Give me these. Here's my monies.
yeah. But I think it's also a match of like knowing what people are gonna want to get, besides just like how to talk to them as well. I don't know. I'm sure there's definitely a portion of it that's just having the right pieces and being someone that they would want to buy from.
Yeah.
And they don't even have to like know that you're on Instagram or know anything about you in that aspect. Like I think that levels the playing field at a show in person. Like who you are on Instagram makes no difference when you're at a show. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't done shows since Instagram, really, I guess, since I was really on Instagram. But I used to get some people from Facebook and YouTube. You know, I would have people show up and be like, "Oh, you taught me how to throw." And
Yeah.
But there weren't many of them.
Yeah.
It was
I'll get like 1 or 2 a show, and maybe some of the other like makers at the show might know me, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But, like,
there's been a little with the spider ant thing, and he won't come out and play with me. He keeps running away when I go to get him. I'm not like poking the camera. I'm trying to catch my spider friend.
Have you named him?
No, and it might not be the same one, but he's been running across the screen and up and across the thing this time. I don't know why.
I have a question that's completely not related to this at all.
Okay.
I'm also a Soldner person.
Mm-hmm.
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 Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you know what's up.
I know what's up.
Yeah.
This is just purely curiosity. How many Soldners do you have currently?
I have a new one in 2019. I got a new one, and that was a S100, and then I have a S50 that I got that I exchanged for delivering clay to somebody. But like, would you drop off the clay? It had issues, you know, but I traded, so I got that one. I restored that one. I have a P200 from a really long time ago that I restored.
Mm-hmm.
I have an S100, and then 2 other S100s that I restored. So I have 6. I have 6 of them that are working. I just gave one of my non-working ones to a past coworker that doesn't have their own wheel, so they're going to restore that one. There should be enough parts to get one that works.
Have you ever restored one that has the chain that's got?
I've never even seen in person one of the chain ones.
Well, if you're ever in Indiana.
Well, it's the same. I think it's the same thing. It's just rather than having the electronics exposed to possible water stuff, they put a chain to pull the little spinny thing.
So the chain goes around hooks that turns the motor. Yeah.
Well, that's a Varostat.
A Varostat.
Varostat. Yes, it turns the Varostat.
Yeah, I have one that I called Bluebird and asked him about it, and I explained what it looked like. I've never seen a Soldner like the one I have. And they basically were like, that sounds like he made it in his garage.
Aaron told you that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are like somebody in the Syracuse area has a demo one from Insika where they did the deck of it clear. And yours is round, right? It's like a circle.
Mine is a complete circle.
Yeah. So, I mean, he should have known that they manufactured those. It wasn't like Soldner made a one-off. No, because somebody in Syracuse has a clear version of it, so you can see all the things move from above.
Yeah, but mine doesn't have the protective covering. Like, I've seen the circle ones that you're talking about, and mine's completely different. Mine's on 3 legs that are I'll send you a picture, but it's
No, I've seen that one. Actually, no, I have seen one of those in person because it was I didn't see it work. I didn't get to try it, but Saratoga Arts had one. But send me a picture because maybe it is different than what I'm thinking of.
I think it's different, it's in Memphis now, and I was moving it recently. Thank God it's tiny, but I moved it. I accidentally fucked up the table because the table is chipboard, and it's there's no way I can get it off I think it's all rusted out, so it's so old, but it took a whole chunk out of the table, so I'll see if I can fix it up. But I also have a P200 as well, but I like it, except the only thing as a production potter that I find to be frustrating.
Careful.
I know I'm ready to defend what I'm going to say. The only thing that I find that is frustrating, which also makes it amazing, is that when it stops, it's very slow to stop. So I have to put my hand on the table, like a hand on the
wheel head.
The wheel head to stop it, so I can stop it quicker.
Really?
Yeah. I'm very fast, Tim.
Are there tweaks to the?
Well, I'm pretty fast. I just looked for my wheel. It's not here right now. I wonder if your P200.
Yeah.
It's probably because you have a P200. I bet the mass of the motor, the mass of the things that are spinning are just going to continue that momentum.
Yeah.
The smaller one, like the S100s, it's less mass. Mine stopped pretty. I don't remember ever having to wait for mine to slow down.
Mine stops pretty slowly, and I don't know, because remember when I was planning on doing the record for POTS?
Uh-huh.
Which I still kind of want to do, but I got to fix my hands first. But I was like, I can't use this wheel. It's so slow that I'd have to use something that stopped immediately.
Oh, just don't stop. Just keep cutting it off.
I mean, yeah, I could do that.
All gas, no brakes. Let's go.
Let's go. But I will say that I love that the newer ones, because my old one, you have to keep your foot on it or else it's not moving. Because it's the chain with the wood.
Well, but not the P200.
Not the P200. That's what I like about the P200 is that I can finally rest my foot easy.
How old's the P200?
It's brand new.
Okay, so you've got the gear-driven ones. It's not the spring and the chain and all that crap.
Yeah, no. I bought it because my parents live 30 minutes away from Bluebird, so I bought it in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
What kind of wheel do you have, Ryan?
I have Brent C's.
Ew!
I have 2 Brent C's. I have a Shimpo Aspire.
Uh-huh.
I don't use the Shimpo Aspire that much, but I just use it if I'm gonna throw out on the patio or something.
Yeah.
I use the Shimpo. I have the Shimpo right here, right next to me. I'm in my apartment, and that's what I use to do all of my consultations on, and it's been great. But
is that Aspire or the light?
No, it's Aspire, so it's.
Oh, it's this. Okay.
It's just the tabletop one.
Whee!
So what's your non-Soldner
it's not great.
What was that?
What's your non-Soldner preference then, if it's not a Soldner?
Yeah.
If it's not Soldner, it's crap. No. I mean, I guess it depends on what the goal is. If you had to fill a community studio with wheels, I probably wouldn't have it all be Soldners.
Right.
That's like a personal, you're going to take care of it kind of wheel. You know, Brents are probably one of the more durable ones, but when it comes to like price per like what you get out of a wheel, the VL lights are pretty hard to beat. I mean, I have one, you know, and then we abused it quite a bit this year. I dropped it off of
Oh gosh.
I dropped it really hard twice, and I thought for sure I'm gonna screw it up, and I haven't broken it yet, so that's good. But like the deck of it is waffle plastic. It's not like there's no like hard thing underneath it. It's not one that I would like use as a step stool.
Yeah, that's
It's
for anybody that missed that. That's the Shimpo VL light. Also, I should add that if you do ever get a Shimpo, make sure you tighten the pins before you use it.
The bat pins.
Tighten the bat pins before you use it and loosen up the fucking pedal with a wrench.
you had to get a wrench.
Yeah, you have to like loosen it up with a wrench. Like they come really tight.
Oh.
So I've always had to loosen them up.
I learned on a VL Whisper. I really liked that one in high school. That was nice.
I mean, the Whisper is not my favorite just because of the freewheeliness. Like people love it, but you know, if my wheel is stopped, I want there to be some resistance from it to stop. Just
right.
Like if I'm cutting a pot off and it spins a half a turn or a quarter turn,
like a banding wheel, like a banding wheel. All of a sudden, now that it's stopped.
But also the VL Whisper stops so fast.
Oh, that's too fast now.
It's like too fast. Like if you.
I thought you wanted it to stop fast because you're so quick.
No. I mean, I would use a VL Whisper if I was, but like trimming, if you're trimming on a Giffen grip that's at all loose, I know. Whoa.
He's like, Giffen grip, what?
That's cheating.
Production potters, right? At work, we trim on a Giffen grip, and I always hated trimming on the VL Whisper because you would stop it and the pins would fly out.
Yep.
But
gosh.
Such
so
is
what
life.
wheel would you throw on if you threw for the like record? Would you throw on something like a VL Whisper because it stops quickly?
I would throw, yeah, probably. It depends. If I could figure out how to pull off, you know, yeah, if I could pull it off while it's moving, then no.
You're not going to get a Cherico one. Are you the kick one?
Well, what'd you say?
What?
I don't know the name of that, but no,
I'm not
we're
gonna,
not doing it on a kick wheel
or whatever, Onji wheel.
It's a Korean kick wheel.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get one of those. No, I don't have a high ego and strong legs. Sorry.
How much do you edit these videos? Like,
we don't.
What? Oh, come on, what?
I have a question to change the topic.
Yeah.
I was wondering about your private Facebook group that you have, your like sales one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, what like
go through the whole sale thing, right?
Yeah.
So the Facebook group for the sale, so everybody has like a business page, right? Like you got your business page, but business pages are throttled in terms of who sees it. Groups aren't throttled as much. So if you've got your own group, the people that are in the group see the content better than that they see like a business page. Was my original reason for making it. That, and I had a sale at which on my business page I posted the photos, and everything kind of crashed. My page crashed, and I had to like postpone it a day and piss everybody off because they had gotten that night off, and they're like, I'm going to get the sale today. And so I moved it to a group because I can batch post things easier. I can have bigger albums. I'm more.
Wait, so you were doing individual sales from Facebook posts inside of a group or inside of your business page?
Let me break it down. So it started as on my business page, I would post an album, and in that album would be one picture of every pot, and I would, post it at 8 o'clock. Boop, it would go live, and the first person to say mine would get the piece.
Okay.
But pages ended up changing their platform like every 6 months. Like the way photos got posted changed, the way comments organized got changed. it was a constant change of everything.
Yeah.
So when I didn't post it like that, I'd come back in 6 months and do another sale, and it was like everything's all new, and it was just a mess.
Yeah.
I participate so much in groups that when there's a change, I understand it before I ever get to the sale.
Mhm.
Except this last year, they had made a change to how many times you could comment in an hour. And when I was responding to people that said mine, like, oh, you got your piece, I maxed out my ability to comment. So I was able to respond to like 100 people. And then I had 300 people that I still needed to respond to. So I used my wife's account, and then my mom did some, and then my mom used my dad's account.
Wow.
So I could end up contacting everybody. So hopefully, I'm part of the Learning Labs for North America, which is a Facebook organization through Facebook to test things and give feedback for group things. And that was one of the things that I like during the sale. I'm putting in tickets like, this needs to change. This is ridiculous. Yeah. It's my group. Why am I getting throttled in my group?
Right.
Like it's not spam. It's me. I am not spam. I'm Tim. Please let me post.
And it wasn't like too much logistical thing, because I'm guessing you'd have to say yours, and then you'd have to like follow up with their email so you can invoice them. And
okay, let's not distract the Tim.
All right, go ahead.
Let's go through the whole thing. Okay, so in the sale, the week or two before, I do a training, and I'll tell people what needs to happen, and we'll do a practice run of like cat pictures, and people can practice the cat picture thing, like buy my cat, and then there's a kind of a countdown of festivities that happen before the sale, and then the day of the sale, I've taken photos of all the work, I have uploaded all the images, I've categorized them by what they are. I've put all the prices and descriptions, and they're all set to go live at 7 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, all the albums go up, and then about 100 people that have no idea how to use Facebook start messaging me, where's the sale? The rest of them have hit the refresh button and have found where the pots are and are hitting mine. So basically, they see a pot, and they will type mine, and then hit return. And Facebook is really good with chronological stuff in a group. The first person to say something is at the top of the list. So even if it's at the same moment, there's one that's a little bit ahead, and that person is mine. And everything gets sold in about 15 minutes, and I kind of let my computer cook, because I'm going to try to live stream it this next time so that you can, because it's just the beep going, and like all of the alerts and everything, just like, which is really fun, but also really scary. And then all that happens, then about a half hour after the sale is live, things have kind of slowed down, and I've been able to message all the people that don't know how to understand how Facebook works. And then I'll start back at pot number 1. So they're all numbered, and I go to pot number 1, and I say, okay, this person was first, and I'll write, this is yours. Message me with the piece number. And as I go through the rest of the night, if you want any other pieces, include that number as well, and give me your address, and that's it. And then I'll go through every post, every pot, and I will, if people missed a piece, I'll write, sorry you didn't get the piece, there are still some pieces available, you got to find them, blah, blah, blah. And I'll just kind of cut and paste those messages. Mm-hmm. And I'll just go through every single image, and I'll do that all the way through. And then my wife, Brenda, she will take and go through all of those messages that we get and start to form what we call a ticket. So the ticket has the pieces that they bought, their address, and stuff, but I care about the pots. So when I start getting tickets, I can go back to the studio, collect the pots in that order, package them up, and by that point, she's generated a label and an invoice, and that all goes together. I slap the label on with a self-addressed stamped envelope, and that goes to the person. So I end up shipping out like $70,000 worth of pots that are completely unpaid for. Nobody pays at all before they get their pot. So they get their pot in the mail, oh, okay, and then they put the check in the envelope, and they mail it back to me.
Really?
Yep. reduce costs, right? So if I take credit cards or Square or any of that, they're taking a percentage. And, I want all the money. I don't want them to get a percentage for doing nothing but, being a middleman for my money. So if it's a check, there's no fees related to that. Yeah.
Do you charge shipping?
So I do a kind of a test, not a test sale, but a training sale in June for people that have never bought a piece before. They're allowed to buy one piece. And in that, I know the rough generalization. So it's kind of included in the price. Like that's
okay.
Shipping is covered. In the big sale, Brenda does it through Pirate Ship. So
okay.
She knows the weight of the box that I have.
Invoice.
Yeah, it's on the invoice.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
In addition to people paying the shipping, people also overpay for the same reason that people want to give me money, kind of thing. That they're not looking for a bargain. They're not looking to get a steal on a piece of pottery. They're paying me for the help that I've given them throughout the year or throughout their time doing pots. So a lot of times I'll get overpay. Last year it was enough to cover all my shipping materials that we had to buy. Overpay covered all of that. So in the end, the sale actually cost us less than nothing. I made money doing the sale in terms of like the materials and the shipping and all that. I came out ahead because of people overpaying. And then they send you little notes too. So like when you're sending the check back, you have a little piece of paper. You have the opportunity to write a little note. So I get all these sweet little notes from people, about that particular pot or what I've done throughout their career, how I've helped them, which, I've kept in a little box and I keep. And if I have a bad day, I just go through and I read my little notes. And some people have sent me coffee and chocolates and, or things that some people have sent me pots. They've sent the box back with one of their pots because, they want me to have one of their pots in my life besides just having one of my pots in theirs. So it's been a really like humanity reviving process as well. It's not just a monetary transaction. There's a little more to it when it's all paper. I'm giving that amount of trust out. People kind of give it back.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of faith in like sending pots out that aren't paid for. But like, who are they going to be to like get something and be like, I'm not going to pay for that? Like,
right. Well, this last sale, I'd shipped stuff out and I had the one person that returned or didn't want the piece because it had crazing in it. And I also had somebody that said, hey, Tim, don't cash that check until like the 1st. And I'm like, damn, like they don't have the money in their account to cover the pot that they want to buy. And I said, Brenda, and she's like, totally. And I was like, okay. I wrote her back. I said, Brenda and I give a free pot, each sale, we pick somebody, we give a free pot to. You got the free pot. So we were able to like get the pot in their hands and then not have them not be able to make rent that month kind of thing. Yeah. And, so it gives a lot of leeway for that stuff too. Let's say somebody doesn't like my pot. Rather than me having to refund money and all that or whatever, I just said, keep it. Just keep the pot. Or, people, I think one of the big questions is, well, how many people stiff you? And nobody has stiffed me on purpose. There have been people that have been like, I'm going to mail it to you, but they're pottery people. So they put it on their fridge and then forget about it until like Christmas. And they're like, oh my God, Tim, I forgot to pay you. I'm like, I know, I'm waiting, I'm patient.
Yeah.
And then, come like New Year's, Brenda goes, okay, Tim, this is the list of people that, we haven't heard back from or anything. And I'll usually just give them, a little note like, hey, just making sure everything's okay. Pot's there, that, we just haven't received your check yet. And sometimes it's my clerical error that I forgot to like check it off. And they're like, no, it came out of my account. And I'm like, ooh, sorry. And sometimes it's just, they just forgot. Nobody's ever been like, nope, and then blocked me and I never saw from them again. It's always, an innocent sort of thing that we're able to clear up without, me sending Tony out to break any kneecaps or anything. And in the end, it's just pottery. And if somebody's like really wants to steal some pottery from me, have at it. Like, enjoy your free pottery. But karma's gonna get you. And when you don't have any more toes and nothing tastes anymore, it's my fault, buddy. Not that I would ever put a hex on somebody.
And that sale that you're doing, is that is the sale, or is that one of the sales?
So I really do 2 sales a year. The training sale, which is about 100 pieces, and they're all non-collector pieces. So they're simple things that my collectors won't be pissed off at by not having an opportunity to get. Like, they don't mind missing out on a mug that they really want if they had the opportunity to get it. But if they see a mug they would have wanted in the first time buyer sale, they would be disappointed in me. So all the fancy things, all the stuff I really spend a lot of time on, go to the big sale. So, and that's in November.
And that one is in the Facebook group.
Yeah, both of them are in the Facebook group.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I like to see that.
Are you in the group now? Are you?
I am not. But I like to hear that there's like super like back to basics way of selling that also like using the tools that Facebook has that you can like make it work, and you can still.
It is a lot of back end work to make it happen. Like,
yeah,
if it was Etsy would populate all my little labels for me and do all that. We're having to do that by hand, but we're not having to pay anybody the stuff.
You're absorbing that convenience fee.
You know, the total costs of doing business through something like Etsy or whatever, you're at what, 12%?
Yeah, something like that.
So if you're losing 12% right off the bat, you know, and you're doing that much in sales, it's worth that extra few bits of effort to make it work.
And the 12% is worth it for me because I literally don't have time to make it because I sell in like 5 different places of selling. So it's like I have to pay the fee or I have to take things off of it and, you know, use it somewhere else, I guess. But, you know, it's kind of up to what you want to spend your time doing, I guess.
Yeah.
And like what's worth it to you.
I like all my money. I'm like a little dragon. Like, I'm not letting a hobbit take a chunk. It's all mine.
Yeah. Did you have to work up to that? Like, I feel like it's such a big risk of doing 1 to 2 shows that it's like, what if a recession hits like in October and you got your show in November and then you're like, what the hell am I going to do? Like, I can't make income for the next year. But it's also like, hey, there's people that have worse off, you know?
He's not selling to people that the recession hits too.
But, I mean, that's true. But like, you know.
I mean, every time I hit that, you know, that button, or every time 7 o'clock comes around, I'm scared as shit. Like, I am not calm and collected. Like, everything's going to be fine. I am waiting for nobody to buy my pots.
Yeah.
And every time I get surprised, and I'll genuinely say it's a surprise that everything does sell. I don't expect it. I don't take it for granted that that's going to happen. And I am emotionally prepared for it to not happen. Financially, I'm not prepared for it to not happen, but you know, my pots will still be here, and they're what I like to make. So if I don't sell them, it's just sad. And
you'll just have to challenge. You got a challenge to figure out how to find them homes.
I'll just cry a lot online until people buy my crockery. But I get so sad. Buy my stuff.
Buy my pottery. It's like the meme where the thing is like on fire in the background, and Will Ferrell's like, "Hi, do you want to buy my pottery?"
I'll show my kitty cat, and he'll be digging in his empty food dish.
No pottery, no cat food.
So it took like I used to do 3 sales a year online, and it was every time I opened up a wood kiln, I would do a sale, and that part of that was Periscope. You know, that I was doing everything live on, you know, online, start to finish, every single aspect. People were watching those pots, so when the firing happened, they wanted to be able to buy the pots. So I'd do a sale right after that, but doing a sale of like 50, 60 pots isn't a huge deal. Doing a sale that's like 200 ends up taking a large chunk and is a lot of planning to have happen. So instead I was like, okay, we're just going to move it all to one sale and see how it goes. And it went fine the first 2 years. And then more people were joining the group that really didn't understand what was happening. And they were not able to buy a piece and they got all bent, which I understand. because you got all these veterans that know exactly what to do and say mine on all the things, and then nobody gets to buy anything else. Which is when we started doing the beginner sale, and after the first firing in May, June, and it's gotten the people to figure out how to do it, so they're more effective at buying crockery in the big sale.
Yeah.
I think we kind of get like accustomed to seeing people that are like Instagram famous or like do the online restocks and like that's their entire business.
Mm-hmm.
That they do it and make it look so easy that it's like they're probably worried about people not buying their pots too, but also it's like you're going to sell out, but maybe you don't know you're going to sell out.
Well, let's say you don't sell out.
You're fucked.
Well, Brenda goes, Tim, maybe you don't do 400 pots this year. Maybe you only put up 300. I'm like, well, why? She goes, well, what if 100 pots are left? And I go, well, what if? She goes, well, if you're selling out all the time and then people see that you're not selling out, does that mean your stuff is not worth as much anymore? And I'm like, don't say these things. Don't jinx us. But, I mean, she has a point. Let's say, one of those Instagram people stopped selling out. They ended up with 50% of their inventory left. Would they be sad? Would other people not think that's as valuable? There's a lot of things that go along with that. But, I told Brenda, it's like my ego isn't based on whether or not people buy my work. It's the kind of work that I'm making and, what Maker Tim feels like doing kind of stuff. And Seller Tim, he's got to deal with that part of it. And, Seller Tim doesn't have an emotion. It's just make the money's part of it. So he wouldn't get sad. He'd just be pissed off that he didn't sell all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. It's good to compartmentalize.
Is it Seller Tim that's like Maker Tim didn't make the right stuff, or is it like
no? He would take full responsibility.
Seller Tim takes responsibility.
Seller Tim, marketing wasn't there. The storyline wasn't right. Those. Well, not the storyline wasn't right. The presentation of the storyline wasn't right. Those are the kind of things that Seller Tim would deal with.
You take accessibility. People are going to come back that bought before, and you're like, people are bound to be getting stuff. Like, this is my best stuff I put out,
Yeah, well, yeah, being confident in what you've put out is huge. If you're posting stuff and you're like, nah, people are also going to be like, nah. I was talking to a mentee today about, like she had some pots that weren't round. And my question was, well, why do they have to be round? Like, why is round like the pinnacle? Like, can it be perfectly unround? Isn't that harder? And so like looking at my pots and it used to be that I used to have to justify my excitement. Like I had to be like, oh, I got to pretend like I'm really excited about these. And I don't know if it's like that I've trained myself that I'm always going to be excited, but I'm always excited. It was sometimes a wood firing. It was depression. You'd open it up and 50% loss rate. You don't think about the pots that came out awesome. You only think about the 50% that sucked. And you'd go to the diner and you'd just look at your patty melt and go, why are we wood firing? This is horrible. And it would be like a month later, you'd be like, these pots are the other 50% were awesome. So now I've trained myself to like not dwell on the pots that suck, and just concentrate on the pots that did come out good.
Yeah, that's a tough business to be in. Putting that effort in, and half of it's going to be crap.
Bye. The second sales are exciting.
I bet.
Yeah.
I love a good second sale.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I'm getting sleepy poos.
Yeah, we should probably wrap up.
Yes. All right.
It doesn't mean, but we can't do this again. I mean, we didn't get into the art and craft discussion or anything.
Oh, I know.
Oh, no.
Can we have theology with Tim? We should just have like a reoccurring series once a quarter, theology with Tim.
This is like the economic theology.
I want the NPL session or whatever it was. NPL. NLP.
Oh man, now he's gonna be stuck on NLP. You're gonna start hearing Ryan talk. Kind of.
Incorrect. I'm gonna be the one that like hyper focuses on it, and I'm gonna figure it out.
So if you watch videos on YouTube, they're like some people get to the point where they're giving like notebook paper as cash, and people are accepting it kind of thing as payment. Yeah, it gets crazy.
That's insane.
Wow.
All right. Well, Tim, tell us the name of your sale Facebook page.
Let me look at what that's called. It's called Tim C's Pottery Sale Group. Ba-doop, boop.
Great. And that's SEE, not the letter.
Yeah,
And
that's my name.
and what's your Instagram handle? Where can we find you? How do you want to be contacted? I don't know.
This is homework stuff. I don't know. What's my Instagram? I think it's Tim C Ceramics or Tim C Clay.
I think it is. If you look up Tim C, it comes up.
There aren't that many Tim C's on Instagram that do pottery.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks. Thank you so
Tim
much.
C Clay on Instagram, and
Tim
your
C.
website is 10C Ceramics.
Yeah. I just
Yeah.
turned into an LLC. I just applied for my LLC today. So,
Wow.
so now I'm not totally liable for everything. They can only take my pottery wheels.
Oh.
Nice.
That's all you get.
As long as all of your things are in order, actually. There's a lot of loopholes in LLCs.
Well, I'm just happy that I did a thing.
I'm
Great.
I'm
I
proud.
did a thing.
You did a thing.
Well,
All right.
well, thank you for having me. It's
Yeah,
been fun
thank
getting
you.
to talk to pottery people. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes to talk to my kitty cat isn't as exciting or fruitful.
Yeah,
And,
sure.
You know, if we do want to do another one, yeah, we'll come up with a topic and then we can pre-plan a little homework so that I'm continuous. As long as there's no math or spelling.
Yeah.
All
Cool.
right. Thanks, Tim.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
Where's the button? Boop.
Hey all, thank you for listening to the show, and we also want to thank Lindy and Ashley for all their help with everything that they've done over the years for Whale Talk. They are our Instagram heroes, and they answer all your questions and then send them to us if we need to. And we also want to thank you for listening and also participating. If you want to support our show, the best way to do that is to send us questions and to review us on whichever platform you are. So we haven't had very many reviews so far. I mean, you can even leave us a bad review. We'll make fun of you, but you can. And sending us questions always helps us with every episode that we do so that we can make it the best that we can. I hope you enjoyed the episode today, and I hope you enjoy this season.